yo, what's good YouTube? If my memory got wiped, my bank accounts went to zero, and I had 90 days to make 100K in ecom, or I get slimed out. Oh, I cannot believe that just happened. But anyways, here is the full A to Z blueprint that I would send myself if this actually happened. So if my mind actually did get wiped, I had no knowledge on ecom, I had no money, this is the video I would send them. And this is going to be the most valuable video on my channel. I know I say it all the time, but the amount of work that went into creating this was insane. Also, I'm going to be putting all of the prompts, the Miro board link, everything like that in my Discord. So if you guys want that, just join the free Discord below. I'm not trying to sell you guys anything in there. It's just so my descriptions aren't just purely links. But without further ado, if you guys find this useful, like, sub, let me know what you boys want to see in the next video, and let's jump straight into it. So for this, there's going to be 4 phases. Each phase has got its own deadline. Now, if you guys are actually doing this, it might take a little bit longer, it might take less time. I just gave myself deadlines for this to make it easier. But anyways, jumping into phase 1 now, the essential building blocks, setting up everything, getting ready for this 90-day sprint, and building the correct foundations early on. So the objectives of this: process information, identifying our weaknesses, and setting up systems. So the first thing I would do is over here, income evaluation. Now, so many of you guys ask me, right, how much money do I need to start ecom? Is X enough? I make this much a week. This is going to be my answer to you, because if you have a job, that is the most important part. Like if you have consistent income coming in and it's more than, 500 USD a week, which I'm pretty sure is fucking below minimum wage, you are good to go. That's all you need. As if you don't have income coming in, you should at least have 5K liquid. And the reason why I say this is if you have anything under 5K liquid, what happens, and the reason why I say a job is so important, I don't know why I put this here, but the most influential factor in your success in ecom is the ability to not be emotional during certain circumstances. And if you have a pool of money sitting there with no money coming in, and you're testing products and you get down to your last 1,000, you are going to be making the most emotional, illogical choices of all time. So that's why I recommend, if you guys aren't making money yet, please try and get a job, or at least have like 5 to 10K saved up. But even then, a job is fucking crucial for the emotional aspect, like I just said. So the second thing I would do is I would do a 7-day time audit. And the reason for this is, there's going to be a lot of like focus. There's going to be a lot of effort that goes into achieving this goal, because it's not fucking easy. So we need to find our main time leaks and then actively work to, patch them up, because no leaks equals very fast results. And I'm going to say that from experience, because you guys can go back on my channel, you can see what I was doing. I was a bit of I was a scroller for a bit there. But anyways, track what you did. Like this time audit, very simple. Just track what you did every 30 minutes. Use a time auditing sheet, and then do this for 7 days along with the other steps that I'm about to show you. And once you've completed this, again, this prompt is going to be in my Discord. The time tracking sheet is also going to be in my Discord as well. But put this into GPT, Claude, fill out all the information there, and it's going to give you an unbiased perspective on, what you're doing good, what you're doing bad, when you are most productive, and it's just really crucial information for us to know early on. Step 3, information absorption. So we need to start getting a fundamental understanding of how ecom works. So I would be watching these guys on YouTube: Nick Tiriot, Spencer, Ecom Moose, Shawnee and G, me, and then I put this here because, hopefully you guys find my content valuable, but I thought that's pretty fucking funny. I would get this book. I would download the PDF of it. Breakthrough Advertising. This is the best book ever in ecom. This book's probably made me like 100K just through scripting winning ads. So I would begin to study this and, really start to get an understanding of copywriting and marketing tactics of one of the best marketers of all time, because a lot of the information inside of this book is just human psychology, and, it hasn't really changed over the past like 80 years or whenever this book was written. So yeah, crucial. Read that, read it again, take as many notes as you possibly can. This book here will change your life. And yeah, anyways, Twitter as well. Twitter's a goldmine for information. Follow these guys on Twitter, and just the whole point here is to get an understanding of the basics and get an understanding of, ecom in general. So that is what my first 7 days are going to look like. If I move on now to days 8 to 14, this is going to be building the foundations. So every app, every tool I would use here is exactly that, because, we don't have a crazy income coming in at the moment. So we want to allocate our budgets wisely.
So this is going to be my must-have tools. If I come over to here, Claude, I'm going to give you guys a bit of source right now on how to make Claude go absolutely fucking insane, because a lot of people are doing this, but a lot of people aren't, and it just blows my mind that people in ecom aren't doing this. So here's the exact Claude system we use frequently, and it's just honestly it's changed our life, because I say many times you want to use AI as a tool, not primarily rely on AI, but this is one of the most effective ways in the beginning that we can get AI to give us correct insights on what to do next. Because if you're in the beginning, you don't know what the fuck to do, just copy this exact framework here. So we're going to be utilizing Claude projects. And essentially what this is it's going to give you a dedicated workspace where you upload documents, files, context that Claude remembers, and then it is going to use that in every single conversation that you do. So what I mean by this is if you wanted to upload all of Alex Hormozi's books to a Claude project and have that as like an Alex Hormozi chatbot that purely feeds you information based on his books, you can do that. If you want to do it with, all of someone's tweets, if you want to go through, copy and paste all of their tweets and put that into there, you can do that. So this is going to be giving you calculated insights from whoever you want, Spencer, Sean, Zachariah, anyone. You can just go download all of their, tweets, put it in there, and then you're going to be getting like a kind of like 8-figure mentor essentially. And the reason why this is broken, because if you just use normal Claude, every conversation starts from zero. It retains a little bit, but not everything. You have to paste the same context in over and over. It's going to give you generic responses. It doesn't know your specific solution, and it takes a lot of time, as this, projects method is very fucking fast because you're able to go in there and ask it and just get, quality source immediately. And you can see the comparison now with Claude projects. You're able to upload your scrape reviews, competitor research, avatar breakdown, winning ad scripts, absolutely everything. So Claude now has an understanding of your customer to a in-depth level, because if you just ask Claude, hey Claude, give me a detailed breakdown or whatever, or do deep research, it does it to a surface level. And if you guys actually have used Claude to copywrite and then copied and pasted that directly, you would know how surface level Claude is with its copywriting. But this is a really effective way that you're able to get Claude to go deeper just through your own market, like your own market research essentially, because then every response is going to be specific to your niche, to your business, to your product, and it's just not going to be generic marketing advice. So in the earlier stages, I would build 2 projects. The first one being the product intelligence one. And essentially what this is just everything about our product, avatars, market. And then I would utilize it for, potentially creating hooks, angles, objection handling, scripts, landing page copy, analysis of my ads. And again, we want to use Claude here as a reference, as a foundation to then go out and improve upon, because in the beginning especially, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to find avatars, all this stuff. So you're able to use Claude as a the building blocks initially to set the foundation for the avatars that you should be targeting. This is good. And also you're reading breakthrough advertising at this time as well, so you're going to be able to start going through your script and changing it based on the information that you're getting from that book in order to make the copy on that ad like 1,000,000 times better, because Claude's copy is pretty shit, but it's just good for giving that, foundational base to build off. The second one I would do is the 8-figure consultant. Like I said before, I would go through, I would get course content, tweets, frameworks, winning case studies, anything that has been proven or has worked within ecom, and I would feed Claude this and make a separate project around it. Because now, again, what I can do is I can ask it strategy questions, ad analysis, funnel advice, trying to diagnose problems, and it is going to be giving me information based on what those people have said. So, if Spencer said this in this specific situation, Claude is going to repeat that back to me and be like, look, Spencer said this, here's what I reckon you should do, as compared to, Claude just trying to answer it generically, which it's bullshit. Like, generally, if you know anything about ecom and you've tried to get Claude to analyze any of your funnels, it just comes out with the worst advice ever. So that's how to make Claude go fucking nuts. Moving on now to Shopify. I would get these apps here: Ching Bundles, Judge.me Reviews, CJ Dropshipping, Triple Whale, and I would get the cracked version of Shrine. Now, again, like I said, this is a must work scenario, so I'm not recommending you guys do this, but you know, if you do accidentally join someone's Discord and ask them for a cracked version of Shrine, I wouldn't stop you, because it's pretty expensive in the beginning and we're not going to have much capital. And the whole point here is to just, you know, save as much money as we possibly can using CJ Dropshipping as our supplier, because it's free. Don't use AutoDS. You know, ZenDrop's all right, but CJ Dropshipping is what we used initially. So that's why I'm recommending it to you guys. And then once you start scaling, you can buy Shrine Pro, because I would recommend it. It's a very good theme. Okay, moving on now to Gemini. This is going to be our second AI tool. Now, we're going to be using Claude and Gemini. We're not going to be using ChatGPT because these are just better. If you're able to use Claude for copywriting, Google Gemini for, you know, Nana Banana image generation, you're even able to submit video ads on it for feedback and insights that we may have missed. Gemini is just way better than ChatGPT. I don't use ChatGPT hardly, you know, ever anymore, just because it's just, there's way better alternatives out there. So yeah, I would avoid it as well. Moving on now, Canva, used for, you know, touching up the image ads that you're making, product images, or anything to do with website and graphic design. Canva is going to be your best friend here. I use Canva all the time. It's fucking great. Okay, moving on to our apps and tools that are nice to have, time saving, and just for organization, essentially. So Ads Library AI, very good just for going onto Ads Library and being able to save your competitors' videos directly. Foreplay, it essentially allows you to create boards and just save ads to it. So you have, like, you know, you can easily view specific ads that you want to see, instead of just having it all saved and messy on your computer. AdSpy, you know, Winning Hunter, stuff like that. Just another nice to have tool. And then one tool that I would actually recommend for you guys to get is SimilarWeb. Use that and then rotate free subscriptions. That's, you know, all you really need to do. Okay, moving on now to the most important part of this initial earlier stages. And this is going to dictate whether we get insane results or no results at all. And again, I'm writing this from experience from someone who's been in this game for years now and who has done the complete wrong thing and seen the results from it, and has done the right thing and seen the results from it. I'm going to, like, this, if you understand this and you do this correctly, you will get results fast as fucking ecom. If you see the guys on Twitter who are going from like 0 to 10K days extremely fast, this is the concept that they understand. So it is understanding time leverage. And what I mean by this is if you put 100 hours into a task, so we have skill 1 here, and we put 100 hours into it, this is the amount of money that we get back. As compared to skill 2, if we put 100 hours of learning into this, you can see the amount of money that comes out of it. And this is the biggest problem I see so many of you guys doing in the beginning, is you don't understand where you should be allocating your time. So that is why I created this section. It's small, it might not seem that important, but if you're able to just follow what I'm about to show you, you will like get results fucking 100 times faster than everybody else. So like I said, it took me a full, like over a year to grasp this concept. So what we're going to be doing now that we have the tools, now that we have all the apps and everything, but we don't know what to do, here is what we're going to be doubling down on. So we're going to be doubling down on the skill with the highest ROI, which is creating ads. Now, I kind of broke this up into 3 sections of ad creation. First one is foundation, second one is translation, third one is execution, and I'm going to explain exactly what they mean now. So ads as a whole, obviously people say, oh, make better ads, whatever. There are a lot of skills in that like come into play when it comes to making better ads and actually being able to publish ads into your ad account that are like, oh shit, you know, damn, this really 100x'd my business overnight. Because that is the issue, right? If you're focusing on media buying or small website changes or, you know, any other like lower ROI task, sure, you might get 10%, you might get 20%, but if you're able to publish an ad into your ad account that is a true winner, you can get like 2000x, like insane results. You can take your ad account from $100 a day spend to 10K a day spend in less than a week just through one really strong winning ad. And it's why, you know, everyone says it, but not many people understand why ads are so important. And that is exactly why, is because the leverage of ads is significantly higher than any other ecom skill. So the number one most important thing when it comes to creating ads that are going to absolutely slap is your ability to understand the customer. Now, this comes down to a few things. So the first one being your understanding of market sophistication. So this understands how competitive the market you're selling in is, which is going to dictate which strategy we take when it comes to launching ads. I already launched a full video on this, so I'm not going to cover it in too much detail. It's like 2 videos ago. But essentially what we're going to be looking at here is if we're trying to sell, and this is what so many people do, people try to sell in a stage 5 market like skincare or supplements with stage 3, marketing. And what I mean by that is people are just utilizing mechanisms in their marketing for stage 3 awareness without understanding the market they're selling in is way past that. Because if you're selling a supplement, right, and you're just utilizing, our supplement's got X ingredient in it, our supplement's got this, our supplement's got that, and that's the only thing you're doing, how many other brands are doing that? Like every other brand is doing that. So that is not a, unique differentiating factor for your brand because people have heard it so many times. So you need to be able to understand the stages of sophistication and then go through and adjust your marketing according to the sophistication stage you're at. Now, granted, most of the time in ecom, you're going to be working between stage 3 to 5. I would recommend stage 3 to 4 markets. That's where most products are. Very rarely, unless you're coming to the market with a new product, is it stage 1 or stage 2 sophistication. So just keep that in mind. Stage 3, stage 4, it's fine. You can make it work. You just got to adjust your targeting or your ad creation process based on, your understanding of sophistication. Second one is, again, I covered this in a previous video, in much more detail. So if you want to go check that out, I'll put the link to that video on screen. But your understanding of market awareness. So how much does your customer already know about their problem and the solutions out there? So the example I used previously was a hair loss product compared to a posture corrector product. And I explained how people who suffer from, bad posture, it's not a huge issue to someone. Like for me right now, I might be sitting and I might have flat back syndrome. I don't know. Because, it's not a huge issue. As if I suffer from hair loss, which, as I've said many times, I take active precautions in order for me to reduce people seeing my, fucked up hairline. So I will, on a windy day, I've got to wear a hat. Otherwise, I just get aired out to everyone. As like I said, with postures, there's so many different types of small posture issues. And if you look at the graph or at the chart of different posture, types and stuff, not many people are going to know what it is. So the reason why this is so important when it comes to your marketing is if you're trying to sell in an unaware or problem-aware market as a new, someone who's new to marketing, you have to then convince someone that they have the problem and that your product is the solution, as compared to solution and product aware. You essentially just have to be like, look, I know you've tried other solutions in the past, or I know you've tried other products, whatever. Here is exactly why ours is better. So that's why I recommend everyone in the beginning go with solution or product aware. It's the easiest, and it's going to take you the shortest amount of time to print as well, because we're just trying to go after the lowest hanging fruit here. And we have a very small deadline when it comes to making 100K. So I want to get results as fast as I possibly can. And that is what most of you guys would want as well, I'm assuming. So again, why I recommend you guys do a lot of research into these two, the market awareness and market sophistication, is because your copy on your ad must match their awareness level. If you're speaking to a problem aware customers, they're most aware, it's going to lose them instantly. And it's crazy how many of you guys are doing this without even realizing it. So if you don't understand these two concepts, go do research into it right now and do hours and hours and hours, because this was the biggest transformation that we had in our marketing that, took us from 0 to 50K days in less than 2 weeks. All right. Now moving on to the third stage of understanding our customer, and also quite possibly the most misunderstood concept in ecom, completing feedback loops and processing learnings. If I had a chart on how many times I've been asked this question, it would probably be in the hundreds, because so many people don't understand it. So I'm going to break this down as best as I possibly fucking can. So you and feedback loops equals printing insanely fast. And the reason for this is because you're able to have a 100% ad hit rate, because even before testing, your hypothesis is so strong that if the result is positive or negative, you're getting so much data that you're then able to frame the follow-up test that has a significantly higher chance of converting. So how just to give you guys the basic framework and then break it down in more detail, how a feedback loop actually works. So you want to create a hypothesis before you write your ad. So if this, then X will happen, or, you know, if X, then Y will happen. We're going to write our ad. We're going to test it. If it fails, if it wins, we're going to analyze it. We're going to improve, and then we're going to use that improve and learnings. I should write learnings here to then script our next ad. Now, like I said, this is probably the most misrepresented or misunderstood concept in e-com. So I'm going to be showing you this in excruciating detail on how to actually complete feedback loops. So another statement I just put here, this was from Zachariah on Twitter, I believe. A losing ad with clear intent is far more valuable than a winning ad that you can't explain. Because if you're not learning, you're just wasting money. And again, this is why the Calidata method is so bullshit, is because when you're testing, just blindly testing, and you're not understanding what is working, you're unable to replicate it. And the amount of people that have come to me and be like, look, you know, I've made X amount ripping off Calidata. I've made, you know, millions of dollars, but I have no idea why the fuck it happened. So this is why even in the earlier stages before testing, we're going to be able to just beat everyone so fast just by completing this, you know, concept correctly. So let's go deeper. Now, here is an analogy that I made, probably not the best analogy, but I don't know if I can just thought of it at the top of my head. So there's two people here. Just say this is person one. Let's just say this person is Calidata Kevin. So we've got Calidata Kevin over here, and then down here we've got Intentful Ivan. And these, like, hopefully this should paint to you the difference in, you know, testing with Calidata and actually being able to utilize this Intentful testing system. So person one, imagine each rock here is a product test, and the Calidata guy, he's impatient. He wants this 10K a day as fast as he possibly can. So he's going to throw this rock over and over and over. So just say this is one product test. He's going to throw the rock. It's going to land here. Then, you know, he's going to test another product test. He's going to land here. Another product test. Oh, shit, he nearly hit it. Lands here. And he's just going to keep doing this over and over and over without actually understanding or learning what this is. And just a bit of context as well. This is a briefcase with $10,000 in it that symbolizes 10K a day. It's floating in the air, and both of these people want to get it. Now, Intentful Ivan, what he does over here is with this new testing method and being able to complete, you know, feedback loops, is every single product test is like a step in the right direction, or every single feedback loop you create with a specific product is a step in the right direction. So then if you're able to go and, you know, if you test like 10 products or whatever, you can see that even though the scale might not be accurate, it might be less, it might be more, depending on the type of person that you are. This is bridging the only thing that is stopping you from hitting 10K a day at the moment, and that is just an information gap. You guys don't know what the fuck to do. So in order to, you know what to be able to do, you need to be able to, you know, process learnings and be able to implement that in the future so you don't make the same mistakes over and over and over. Because this guy here is just going to keep making the same mistakes for months. As this guy here, you know, he's going to be at 10K days very, very quickly, even though this guy here really wants to get to 10K a day and he's impatient. As this guy here, you know, he's taking the more patient approach, and chances are he's going to get there a lot more efficiently. And chances are as well, he's going to be able to scale way beyond 10K a day and build an actual brand out of it because of the, you know, testing system that he's running. So my exact pre-launch framework in 5 steps, I kind of just put down all of the information in my brain here, and we'll come to step 1. So the first step is using research, identify who you're targeting. So just say we are selling a product that is going after hair loss, and we've done research, and, you know, we've got 2 avatars here specifically. The first avatar is postpartum Priya, who is a new mom who's just experiencing hair loss. There's a bit of an avatar overview. And then over here, we have Nothing's Worked Nancy. Do you guys like my names or what? They're pretty fucking good. But anyways, here is the overview of this avatar here. And you can see the reason why this is so important, and the reason why understanding who we're selling to first is critical, is because this is going to, again, adjust the way that we target this avatar. Because the awareness stage of this avatar is going to be significantly lower than avatar 2. So we have to adjust our hypothesis and our script to be more tailored towards them. Because if we compare it to this girl here might be problem or solution aware, as this girl here, she has tried everything in the past. She knows she has the problem. She's had this problem for years. She's tried everything else. So we now need to create our hypothesis with that in mind, and our testing strategy needs to factor this in. So once we've identified who we're targeting, step 2, identifying what they already believe. We're going to be keeping the same examples here for both avatars just to show you kind of how it differs. This is, so avatar 1 again, you know, she's a new mom, she's experiencing hair loss. You can see how these quotes differ from these quotes here by this specific avatar. And again, quotes are crucial through your research process, because then we're taking the guessing element out of it and we're able to just purely reflect our customers' words back to them. And again, like I said, for the 50th time, I made another video that went into excruciating detail on avatars, you know, what to look for, how to create them and stuff like that. So I'm not going to cover this in too much detail. So now that we understand this, we can move on to step 3, which is deciding what emotional trigger to lead with. Because so many of you guys just like, your hooks are insane. Like, it's like, if you're a busy mom with 3 kids and you're always stressed, like, what mom with 3 kids is not going to be stressed? Like, unless she's fucking ripping a shit ton of ashwagandha, she is going to be extremely stressed. And this is what I'm saying. Like, you don't want to, with this avatar here, just call out postpartum hair loss directly. You want to lead with experiences and emotions that they feel, but they don't really say. And the way that you're able to do this is by, again, just doing deep levels of research into Reddit, finding people's 3 a.m. confessions and threads where they're fucking like pouring their heart out after they've just had a shit day. You're then able to dissect the emotions out of that and then lead with them in the hook. Because the whole goal of ads, and the best ads ever, create the feeling of, oh shit, you know, is this person in my head? And again, I can't go into that much detail because I already went into like way too much detail in the previous 2 videos for, you know, scripting and creating hypotheses, but also the research process. But you can see there how we're not leading with just the avatar name directly. We're diving deeper than that. So we're actually able to create resonation within the customer, because the more resonation we have, the more trust that the person's going to have. And then the more trust someone has for our brand, the more likely they're going to be able to buy. So very, very simple there. And you can see here again, like if we're trying to call out this avatar here with regrow thicker hair in 30 days, again, this is just such a basic hook, and this is just, you know, not accurate and not reflective of the sophistication stage that this market is at directly. So instead, we want to, again, lead with the exhaustion of the journey, the feeling of being broken. Like, you know, she doesn't trust promises anymore. She doesn't trust brands' claims. She's been burnt by hundreds of products in the past, so she needs to feel understood first. And again, this is just what Claude whipped up. Very fucking surface level here. But you can see the difference in, you know, this hook here and this hook here. Even though this hook isn't the best, it's still going to have a significantly higher chance in resonating with our customer. So moving on to step 4 is matching your messages to their awareness levels. Now, I already covered this kind of explaining the other avatars, but just to really refresh and kind of drill this point home, because it's fucking so important. You need to understand the formats that you can present it to. And actually, I'm going to quickly go and get the 2 formats here that I can show to you guys. 1 second. I just pulled these examples from the last video, but you can see now that we understand, like I said before, you know, this avatar here is probably more like solution aware, problem aware. So the way that we're going to script to them is going to be significantly different. And now, like I said again, the reason why I included a problem aware avatar in here is just to kind of show the difference and the contrast between them. Would I go after this avatar as a new marketer? Probably not, because again, I just want to go for the lowest hanging fruit here. But you can see the difference in script structure. Like, we're going to go problem, root cause, mechanism, solution. This is kind of just a guideline framework. And then as compared to solution aware and product aware, like, we're leading with the solutions, like failed solutions, why they failed, you know, what's different in your product aware, direct comparison, your advantage, your unique mechanism, whatever, proof, call to action. So if we like don't understand the difference between awareness levels, and I know I sound like a broken record here, but our scripts are just going to be completely misdirected. So if we get a like really good understanding of our avatar and we do the correct research, we now know, you know, what stage they're at, what script structure is going to work the best, and that is going to increase our chances of success exponentially. And also what it's going to do, again, like I said, we're creating a hypothesis now based on research on what we think is going to resonate best with this customer. So if it doesn't work, then we have to go through and be like, oh shit, you know, like, okay, sweet, solution aware avatar. I made a solution aware script. What part, like, where did I go wrong? What was the flaw in this ad that stopped me getting from success? And then using that analysis and then creating another hypothesis is then how we're able to just create winners so much fucking faster. Because if all of our hooks didn't take any spend, then we could be like, all right, maybe this emotional trigger that we led with in 3 different hooks, like we tested 3 hooks, 3 different testing triggers. I'm going to explain this testing format more in a minute, so don't worry. But if none of those resonated, we might still want to launch a variation ad or like a, ideation ad at this avatar still, but just test completely new emotional triggers to lead with. Because even if one takes spend then, and even if it doesn't perform, we then have, again, directional clarity that we can create the new hypothesis of, and just building those stepping stones closer and closer to 10K a day. So product aware, that's just the framework there. Not going to break it down too much. Those basic kind of summary on that avatar, no need to do that. So now that we have all of those understandings, so, we've done the research, identified what they believe, we've chose what emotional triggers to lead with. Now we've matched the awareness level to this avatar. We can create a effective hypothesis. So you can see here how I create my hypothesis and what they might actually look like. Now these are pretty concise, I would say. Mine are usually detailed because it goes into depth on like what we're testing, why we're testing it, why we think it will succeed, what the objective here is, like everything like that. But like most of you guys are literally, even though you're not writing this directly, this is kind of what your hypothesis is looking like. Shit, I reckon natives will perform better because my competitors are running it and that. Like that's kind of, if I could boil it down to a nutshell on, another massive question I get is like, my competitors are running this, my competitors are doing that. Is it bad if I directly copy them? Yes, it's fucking terrible. Do not directly copy your competitors. Steal their frameworks and steal their psychology behind what they're doing or like why they're doing it, and then implement that into your own ads. Because otherwise, like, if you're getting high CPMs and the ads that you're publishing are just trash into your ad account, you're not going to be able to, you're going to be getting high CPMs and you're just not going to be getting any results because you're copying their what without understanding why they're actually doing it. And it's the same reason, like, I get a lot of people who rip my product daily, rip from my brand, but they never get results and they usually fizzle out pretty quickly because they don't have the understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. So anyways, moving on now to a, better hypothesis, I would say. So this might be one that we create. During research, I located a large presence of people not understanding why they lose hair after having a baby. Utilizing the more relatable approach of no one warned me will outperform the generic approach of stop hair loss as it leans into her primary emotion of feeling blindsided and alone. You can see there how we're again basing our hypothesis on research and then moving to something like this. While researching, I found a large group of people emphasizing the need for a quick, simple routine. By incorporating this approach into my messaging, it will convert better than ingredient stacking because her objection is time, not belief in products. So essentially what I'm saying here is identifying what objections people have and then utilizing your script to target towards them. And just to give you an example on this to kind of paint it a lot clearer. If I'm selling, let me just think of an example here. Maybe I'm selling a gym supplement and my avatar is bodybuilders. What do bodybuilders care about? They want to get bigger, right? They just want to become as big as they possibly can. Do they give a shit if I'm using like, banned substances or doing whatever in my supplement? Probably not. Or not as much as most people do. Now that's a bit of an extreme example there. But the point I'm getting at is if I'm like on my ad, all of our ingredients are vegan and cruelty free, that's just fucking like, it's just pointless because it's not what they care about. They care about getting jacked. They don't really give a shit about, the effect that it's going to have on their body as long as I'm not putting like cyanide in there that's going to kill them. So as long as my product is, addressing their main objection, which is getting bigger, or in this case, this hair loss mom, she might be very busy. If she doesn't have much time, this is what she cares most about. She doesn't really care about like, every single ingredient and what the purpose of it is. She just wants results and she wants results fast. So that's why I'm saying it's very critical as well to understand, deep levels of your customer and the objections that they have, because then you're able to tailor your script to match that directly. And this is again why ads are so important, is because you're able to convert and get people sold before they even click on your website. Like if you're able to identify all of her objections and by the time she clicks your website, she's like, holy shit, you're going to be converting at a significantly better rate than if you're just listing a bunch of random stuff. And this is also why if you get high add to carts, you know, high checkouts, but no sales, chances are it's just something to do with your messaging. Your ads aren't doing their job correctly in nurturing people to the point that they're ready to buy before they even hit your product page. Now, again, like to this example, as there is an ecom, there's always a lot of nuance. Like if you're just running unaware or problem aware statics to a, you know, pre-lander, you can you don't have to go into this level of depth, but I'm assuming, you know, for this, we're going to be selling to like solution aware. So that's why objections that they may have, and more specifically with this avatar here as well, because these guys are going to have a lot of objections. We need to preemptively handle them, and potentially even, it depends on the extent of the objection, but we then want to handle that again on our product page. So moving on now to avatar 2. Nothing's worked, Nancy. Again, I'm not going to go too much detail into this. I just got Claude to whip me up some hypotheses, but hopefully you guys got the example from this previous avatar on exactly how I create, you know, winning hypothesis, because that is like, you know, that's all it really comes down to is these 5 steps here, and then launching. And if your hypothesis is correct, you know, very good. You make a shit ton of money. You found a winning ad. But if your hypothesis is wrong and your ad doesn't take any spend, you've got such a solid ground of like testing. You've got such solid reasoning in why you believe that ad would work. It's unreasonable for the ad to fail, but when it does, you then have a shit ton of data to, you know, launch your follow-up tests on. So hopefully that cleared up how to kind of frame a pre-launch hypothesis. A lot of people were fucking struggling with that, so I just went into as much detail as I possibly could with it. Apologies, I'm jumping in after filming this whole section, and I realized I didn't make it clear on processing learnings after you publish ads. And the reason why I didn't do it just now is because when I explain my testing structure later, I show a live ad account breakdown, and I put more emphasis on processing learnings there. So I felt like it wouldn't be that important for me to give too much context on it here. Because I literally show you guys live examples of, you know, me testing a product and making it a winner in like less than 10 days, just through like creating hypothesis and then processing learnings on them. So that should give you guys a way better understanding, because it's all good me just showing you all this and explaining it, but giving you a live example of an ad account. Yeah, I don't know who else is doing that, but proceed on with this section here. But yeah, moving back now, in case you guys forgot, because we went off track for a little bit, we are talking about the highest skills when it comes to making ads. So we just went through sophistication understanding, awareness understanding, and the ability to complete feedback loops, structuring a pre-launch hypothesis. Just quickly as well, like I think we're at like day 8 to 14 now, and we've already been through a lot of like comprehensive stuff. And you're probably like, we haven't even fucking chose a product. I don't even know how to build a website yet. Don't worry. It's just I'm trying to teach you and build these foundations for you guys early on so you understand, and, you know, through your ecom journey, depending where you're at, if you're at 1K, 10K days, even if you're just getting started, you understand the importance of these concepts and how, you know, they have affected our marketing as a whole. Because like I've said, you know, this took us from being like cooked to being at, you know, we did like $500,000 last month, and then like almost $1 million the month before that. So just through understanding these concepts here. So like moving on now. So the second skill, the second high leverage skill, which I put a lot of focus to, and these are just like, they're all intertwinable essentially. And this skill here, the ability to, because completing feedback loops is also a skill. That's one thing I want you guys to understand. The more feedback loops you complete, the better you're going to get at them, and the more efficient you're going to get at them as well. Because in the beginning, you're like, oh, fuck, dude, I don't know anything. Like, I don't know why this ad worked. I don't know, you know, why I launched it, whatever. That's okay. Like, as long as you have a small hypothesis initially, you're getting used to that framework. Very soon, you're going to be like, oh, and you're going to start seeing insights from your ads that you never did before. And that's when stuff starts to really get good. But moving on now to copywriting and persuasion. So this is like, now we've got our research, like we've done our research and we've constructed a hypothesis. We can now move on to translation, which is essentially putting all of that information that we got into the ads that we're making. So just a heads up, the reason why I go pretty broad on copywriting and persuasion psychology is because this is one of those skills that it is like learning a new language. You know, it cannot be learned overnight or in a short period of time. It just comes through repetition and exposure. So if you're constantly, reading high converting news articles, or you're constantly studying your competitors' scripts to go, oh shit, this is why they did it, this is why they did it, you're going to become a better copywriter because of that. So it's like not something as like with feedback loops, I can be like, all right, this is how I do it, this is how to do it, whatever. Copywriting, there is a lot more depth to that. And that's why I really push you guys to just read this book. I know I've pushed it over and over and over, but this will change your life as it did for us. So that's why I included this. And that's why I said, it's fucked. But like learning copywriting is fucked. But if you understand this early, you can build yourself into a good copywriter just by immersion in resources and completing feedback loops. Because then, like I said before, like if you're constantly reading high performing news articles, the best headlines, studying your competitors' hooks, you're naturally going to get better. It's like the Andrew Tate quote where he's like, if you want to learn a lot about ice cream, or he talks about how if you're in a room with people constantly talking about ice cream, even if you don't know anything about ice cream, by the time you leave, you're going to have some idea. And it's the exact same thing with copywriting. If you're constantly immersing yourself in good pieces of copy, it's going to naturally translate, or like it's going to translate into your copywriting in general. So it's why I recommend, just immerse yourself as much as you can in really good pieces of copywriting. And then you will just become a better copywriter because of it. And you'll start to see stuff that you could never see before. So now story architecture. This is like, I already covered this, pretty in detail before, but now that we've done our research and we understand how to complete feedback loops, you will now know and you'll now understand how to present to your customer. So like, for example, postpartum Priya, or whoever we covered in the previous avatar example, we can ask ourselves which ad format is most likely to resonate with this avatar based on the awareness stage, the sophistication of the market, objections they have, whatever. And this is how we're again going to be able to just increase our ad rate significantly, because, this is when I do recommend researching into your competitors. Like seeing where your competitors are leaning heavily into is a good point of reference for you to go from. Because if all of your competitors are leaning into the authoritative educational angle, you can then study them and be like, why are they implementing this into their ads? Okay, it's because maybe they're selling to a lower awareness market. Maybe they're selling to a higher awareness market, like solution aware, product aware. And what are they mainly leaning into? Like, are they doing like avatar based ads, or like AI avatar? Maybe they're running like AI podcast. Maybe they're doing like, moms who had the same problem, but then built a solution based on her issues. Like that's a pretty good authoritative educational, because it's like you're able to lower the person's guard by being like, look, I was a mom, I had the same issues as you. And if you've done your like extensive level of research and you're able to include like micro moments within that script and really handle the objections that need to be handled, you can crush it with it. But the point I'm getting at here is study your competitors, see which ad format they're running the hardest, and even try to use a bit of your own intuition and be like, okay, I see this is the, awareness stage, whatever. Maybe a UGC testimonial will work a lot better. Maybe a short-paced music ad. If you're in beauty, your product is very visual. These do extremely well. We scaled a 20-second music ad in beauty to like $400,000 in spend profitably. So just taking all of that into mind, native stacks to pre-lender, anything like that you've gathered during your research or you've noticed during your research, identify which format is most appropriate for your avatar and then just show them that. It's all a hypothesis at the end of the day. Like I said, there's no way to be 100% certain. We're just going for maximum resonation. So now the execution side of things, we've done the research. We understand which format is the most appropriate. Like, how do we actually execute on it? Now, I didn't do much information here again because it's pretty subjective based on where you're at in ecom. Like if I had given this example, I have no insights in how to edit a video, I would go through and I would literally just look up, like, watch my previous video actually. I show exactly how I script, live edit a video, and then I would try to just go out and really test my editing skills on ads. Or, if I'm a little bit lazy in the earlier stages, I wouldn't really recommend it, but you can go out and hire an editor. We've actually got 2 editors now that are absolutely crushing. But the point is the reason why I was able to train those guys up into killers is because I had a extensive level of video editing myself. Like I was editing and getting paid for Fortnite videos back in like year 7, and like editing COD montages and all that stuff. So my video editing skills were pretty good and it translated into ecom. But if you're coming in with like no video editing skills, whatever, you do need to go out and be like, all right, start taking video editing course. There's a really good course on it, Ecom Talent, not affiliated or anything. I just put my editors through there as well. So you need some video editing training. But the point here is you need to be good at this skill. If your video editing is shit, but all the other, things are really good, you're going to struggle to get results. It's just the way it is. And it's the same thing with graphic design. Graphic design is a lot easier, in my opinion, when it comes to like a time investment perspective. I'm able to whip up pretty decent statics, and I've cooked up winning statics in like 30 minutes to an hour, like a batch of them. As a really good converting AI voiceover ad that's over a minute long takes hours. So just understand that. And that's why I was saying this before we even get into product research, understanding where to allocate your time, and the allocation into these 3 things here is going to like just be the most effective. Like fuck media buying off. I'll show you guys my testing structure and all that. That stuff doesn't matter anymore. This is the current state of ecom that we're in, and these are the skills that I am doubling down on essentially. So that's what I would really recommend for you guys to do as well. So I want you guys to go through here, understand your weaknesses, recognize your weaknesses, and then adjust your time allocation per day towards those specific tasks. Because, if you used to be a clipper, as an example, and you're really good at video editing, it wouldn't make sense for you then to go out and spend 6 hours, 8 hours a day just learning video editing, because you already have a decent surface level understanding of that. And if you are a copywriter or whatever, if you've been doing market research for brands, if you're a fucking creative strategist, whatever, I don't think most of you guys would be, but just go through there and allocate your time effectively. If you're a complete beginner, what I would do at the start is just find an even distribution between each one. Find out what I'm naturally good at, and then you can go from there, because I'm pretty good at copywriting. Like just naturally. My dad used to be a writer, so I think I got his gene there, which means I don't need to put as much time into it. I still allocate time to it, but you don't want to be pouring all of your time into that if you're pretty good at it. So moving on now to the fundamental execution side of things, getting everything set up, how I would do it, build the website, fund the product, and yeah. All right, phase 2, execution. Okay, so days 15 to 21, like I said, pretty short time window, but at the same time, we're moving really fast here. And in order to be able to complete this challenge successfully, this is at the rate, this is going to be the rate that we need to move initially. You'll see the timelines get pretty long, long after this, because we're just building the foundations right now, getting shit right, and then we're able to just go off. So the goals here are to select one product that passes all of my filters. I'll show you what the filters are. Understand the customer better than they understand themselves, build the store, create first ad batch, and launch. The whole goal and objective here is to not guess with our launch. We are making informed bets based on research. And I'll cover all this more in a second, but moving on to product research now. Now, everyone asks me, how do I find products? What are the best methods? Again, I'm just going to give you guys my exact methods that I'm running at the moment and the most effective ones I've seen. I have 2 methods. The first one, ads library. This is my hands-on when I'm sitting at my desk, all right, I'm going to do 2 hours of product research. That is what I'm using. Ad library is insane if you know how to do it correctly. Purely for the fact that it just has, you could scroll on there for 10,000 hours and still not scratch the surface of products that are being, launched, and solid products that are, people are scaling at the moment. So how do I use this method specifically? So load up ad library, and then go to United States, click all ads, click a specific search filter, whichever one, doesn't really matter. I'll put a list up on screen. I'll get my editor to put a list up on screen of the most effective search terms that you guys can use. But, feel confident, sleep better, 50% off, free shipping, 40% off, all the little drop shipping terminologies you can put in there. And again, that's why I said the ads library method is so good, because you can just go, you can search so wide with your search filters and you're going to see completely different products. I would then go 60 to 90 days back. I took this screenshot, before I left to Japan. So maybe I would search January now, December. But the reason why I did October here was because it's before November, before Black Friday. And I don't want to see just a shit ton of fucking gifting ads and all that stuff that people have left running. So put those filters in there. And then the whole goal is to just keep scrolling down until we see little keys like this, and drop shipping websites, because you can see core health and fitness. It's download the trends, free report today. There's tourism soul, undergarments that fit well, whatever. We're not looking for any of that shit. We're more looking for links that look like this and look dropshipping. I mean, I don't really need to explain this to you guys. If you guys have been doing this for longer than 5 minutes, you would know what a dropshipper kind of looks like essentially. So what I'll do for you guys now is put up a bit of a private video actually. I know, there's going to be like 2% of you guys still watching this far in, so wanted to give you as much source as I can. But just shows me live scrolling ad library, what I'm looking for, validating products, and then I find one that's, pretty good. This was for my students because I just I do one-to-ones occasionally. I'm not an info guy. I make most of my money through ecom, or all of my money, should I say, through ecom. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys are curious about that. You can just shoot me a message or whatever about one-to-ones, but I don't know if I'll be available or not, but you can always just ask if you're interested. You can watch that video and then we'll move on. All right, what's good, boys? Whoever's watching this video, I don't know, I'll probably send it to a couple people, but all right, now you guys know how to do the ads library method. Moving on to the Instagram burner method now. Now I call this the free time method because, if I'm sitting at my desk, I don't really want to be scrolling Instagram, right? Like I want to be on ad library. But the best part about this is just when you're at the gym, when you're eating food, if you want to, constantly be looking for products and constantly be giving yourself a chance at seeing an absolutely amazing product, because that's all it is. It's just about volume negates luck. Like if you're seeing shit products initially, if you consistently scroll every single day, your chances of getting lucky increase exponentially. And all it takes is just seeing one product for you to be like, oh shit, for you to make like millions and millions of dollars. So that's all we did. Like I found so many of my winners through the Instagram burner. My last winning product that we scaled from 0 to 50K a day came through the Instagram burner. So I'm going to show you guys how to set it up correctly. So many of you guys go wrong with this as well. So step 1, set up a IG account, make your birthday to be around 50 years old. I recommend choosing a mum name as well. Make it real, add a mum profile picture, post a, random photo with like a dog, flowers, whatever, with a believable mum caption. Step 3, you want to start broad with your searches. So start with like Amazon best home finds, Amazon maybe buy it, best TikTok product finds. Interact with these products or interact with these posts, like it, share copy link, screenshot it. All of these are engagement signals towards Instagram, like this person is interested in this, so we're going to go ahead and show them more of it. Do not spam comments, otherwise you will get banned. I've seen so many people get just their really good burner accounts fucked because they were commenting on all beauty products. You don't need to comment, you just need to do these little things here, and if you just spam comments, your account's going to get either banned or shadow banned, so don't do that. A good point here I want to note as well, I have multiple niche burners to maximize my product finding ability. And the reason why I say this is because you'll see in the next step, I say niche down. The whole goal is to make your account as believable as possible. So if we're constantly searching like Amazon made me buy it or whatever, and we're just scrolling through all these different random products, sure, Instagram might believe we're just a crazy consumer who's interested in everything. But in order to get access to like insane products that brands are running, like we kind of need to niche down, because then Instagram's going to believe we're more of a real person essentially. So step 4 is niche down. Once your feed is filled with generic products, choose a niche like beauty and then strictly engage with these posts that are in this niche. And the reason why I say strictly is because I know I'm like you guys and you guys are like me. Your burner accounts just get fucked up because you'll be scrolling on a beauty account and then you'll see some like crazy brain rot video and then you'll start interacting with them, forgetting you're on your burner account. So it'll just completely mess up the optimization. But like, be very intentful and be very aware when you're on the account. If you see brain rot posts or something that's out of your niche, just click not interested on the Instagram section. So step 5 now is, like I was saying before, consistency. The whole goal of this burner account is to make Instagram think you are a real mum. Spend 10 to 15 minutes a day scrolling, and what you're going to notice initially is the posts are really like shit, unoptimized, old at the start. And this is because Instagram doesn't trust you yet. They just think you're a bot account. So the more consistent you are on the account, like you'll actually start to see better products and newer products as well. Because the whole goal, like the overall goal of the burner account and the way I found my best products is by seeing competitors' ads. And that is like, that's where the money is. So, but in order to get to that point, Instagram actually needs to believe you are a real account. Very important notes, again, just like I said, this Very, very important. I know most of you guys are brain rotter like me, so you're going to see posts that are funny outside of the niche. You need to resist the urge to watch them and click not interested. And then the whole goal is consistency. Like I said, again, scroll on the account and you will very quickly see how overpowered this method is. It's one of my favorite methods. I've been preaching it for months and months and months, and no one uses it. It's hilarious. So, I mean, I'm able to just get banging products, but so many people fumble on this method. So don't sleep on the Instagram burner method. I'm putting you boys on. Yeah, moving on now. All right, just quickly as well, I thought I'd include this example of a really good product that I found on the Instagram burner method because I was just preaching it, so I might as well show you guys what a perfect product is, in my opinion, when it comes to testing. Now, obviously, no product's perfect, but this is just when it comes down to, if you keep testing products that pass, all of these criteria, which I'll show you in a second, you're going to have a significantly higher chance at seeing success. Because in my opinion, you can make any product work over, it might take you a year, but the whole goal here is to just pick the lowest hanging fruits when it comes to products. Like, for example, so let me just go through this product now. This is a collagen and vitamin infused mouth tape. So the reason why this product is so good, so these are my 7 product qualification criterias, and I'll just run you guys through these, and hopefully it'll make more sense on why this product is so effective. So the first one is the mass desire test. If you can't answer this in like one sentence, I want to sleep better. Very, very simple. Millions and millions of people want this. If you're trying to test a product like, take a kimchi maker as an example. I used that in the last video. But if you're trying to drag it and reach for desires, because you cannot create desires within the market, you can only channel them. So what I mean by this, if you're trying to sell kimchi makers to people who want to lose weight, my kimchi maker makes making salad or, healthy snacks more effective, which means you're going to stick to your diet, which means you're going to lose weight. You can see how that's a lot of words, as it's not just I want to sleep better, which is just a very simple desire. So that is why this product passes this test here. So the magnitude now, I just got Claude to whip this up. It's just a basic table. You can see here all the main desires and how this product attaches to each one of them. Moving on now to market awareness, solution aware. If someone's waking up and they're constantly sleep deprived, chances are they're going to, do a lot of research into what is going on. If you're constantly waking up, maybe you think it's low iron, whatever, that just means it's a big enough issue that people are aware of it, which is a good thing, which makes it a lot easier to market to. And the extent of the issue is strong, like I said before. Market sophistication and unique differentiation. This is when this product just clears. This is the strongest 2 categories that it's in, because if you see here, the existing mouth tape market is pretty fucking sophisticated. You've got some big A players in there, Hostage Tape, Somnic Bix, all of the generic Amazon options. But this is where, if you're able to be intuitive with your market research, or not market research, product research, sorry, and as you're researching, you find an avatar that is being underserved, and if you have the capital available, then you can build a product or find a product and give it specifically to them. You can do this because all of these brands are targeting biohackers, athletes, sleep apnea sufferers, wellness bros. You see fucking Ashton Hall out ripping these mouth tapes. It's very clear that these avatars here are being dominated. So if we were to just go in with a random mouth tape brand and be like, oh, ours is more sticky, or ours lasts longer and you'll get better results, we're just going to get molested in that market. We are just going to get destroyed. So that is why you can see what this product does. And the reason why it's so effective is because it utilizes a unique mechanism in the product to essentially be fuck everyone else. Fuck the biohackers. I don't want to go after athletes. Let's go after women who care about looking better. It's the same product. It's completely different avatar, different desires being served. And this is, if you guys aren't, completely new to dropshipping, you've heard of the term purple ocean, this is going into a market that's already proven and just adjusting your targeting to fit a new avatar. Because again, if we were to go in here, even with this product specifically, and try and target men and women, we would probably get pretty shit results, because we're not being like, we're not serving an avatar directly. And that is where you get all of the results, is if someone feels like you're talking directly to them, and if this product was made, specifically for them. So the unique differentiation on this, kind of covered it before, but this is a beauty first mouth tape for women. Not only does it go for the benefits of mouth breathing, it also provides short-term results that people can see via collagen and vitamins that are infused onto the mouth tape itself. So in case someone was a little bit on the edge of buying like, hostage tape or something like that, because they were like, I don't really see the benefits in it, we're able to then like give them short-term benefits and a short-term visual result through the ingredients that are on the mouth tape itself. Now, moving on to objection mapping, very few objections around this. People might think, oh, what if my nose is blocked? What if I can't take it off during my sleep? What if X, Y, and Z? The point here is these objections aren't as significant as I'll give an example of the last product I used in the previous video. It was like an anti-choking device. And you can imagine the objections around that are significantly higher, because then it's like, well, if this doesn't work, my loved one is going to fucking die. So the objections for that product, or like a micro needling set, take that as an example. A lot of people have like fear of, needles. They're like, is it hurt? Is it going to hurt? Is it painful? Whatever. Compare this to the amount of objections this product has. It's very, very few, which is good. All right, moving on to proof now. Again, very, very simple. There's a lot of scientific evidence that proves nose breathing is more healthy. We can utilize, reference studies from our competitors in hostage tape and stuff like that. But we know this product actually works. And again, another product I used in the previous video showing one that like isn't proven is those like GLP-1 patches, like I think it's called like Nice or Kind patches as a brand. They got sued and they're getting absolutely wrecked right now because they were selling a product that just doesn't work. And I want you guys to actually be able to build a brand. I don't want you to just be a fucking black hat no shipper who's adding a subscription onto every one of your customers' orders. Like, you want a product that works, because then what's going to happen as well is not only are you going to be like chilling with, like chargebacks and refunds, it's not going to be that high. Word of mouth will get around. You expand the timeline out and your brand will be known, which again is like the whole goal of this video for you guys. Another good thing I said for this is it has obviously massive MRR potential. These are like one-use strips. You don't reuse them over and over and over. So we can start, building up a MRR subscription on the back of this. So hopefully you guys got a good example now of what a like 7 out of 7 product looks like for me. Go through with your product research and just ask yourself, does it pass each one of these? And if it does, your like chances of finding a winning product are going to be significantly higher, and also the speed of making it a winner, it will happen a lot quicker. So moving on now to the deep dive. So I just showed you guys how to find products, what like qualification steps to put it through. Now I'm going to show you exactly what I do when it comes to research, because there's 2 different types of research I utilize: AI research, manual research. So I'll dive into AI research first, because this is one most people get wrong, and most people do just completely fucking incorrectly, and it's funny. So AI research, like I said before, everyone does this shit wrong, because you are, again, the whole goal of market research is to get a better understanding of the customer, not just to do market research for the sake of doing it. So if we just use AI blindly for everything, and ChatGPT, give me some deep research on this, like be extra specific, or, go into deep details. If we just use that, get a script from ChatGPT and then paste it into a doc and never look at it again, like that is what most people are doing nowadays. And this is how we're going to be able to differentiate ourselves from the 99% of people who are just, relying on AI primarily, and we're going to use it as a tool to guide our research. So I like to run these 3 or these 4 prompts initially. And again, all of these prompts are going to be in the Discord. So you guys can just go in there and copy and paste them and just fill out the information for your product. But what this is going to give us is going to give us a good reference to kind of then go out and prove during manual research. Because again, like I said, AI research, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We need to go deeper into manual research. So now we can do manual research. And the manual research side of things is where we essentially need to take all of the stuff, like I was saying before, we need to take what AI has found and then validate it. So I did make a video on this. It was like an hour and a half long, just showing how I build avatars and do research and stuff like that. So that will be, again, it's in the description. It was like 2 videos ago. Please watch that. So many people found that video extremely helpful. And if you guys are struggling on what to, like, how to pick avatars, how to build your avatars out, that will like fucking change your life, I guarantee it. So, but anyways, just a quick recap. Like, this is essentially how you want to create your avatars. And what I mean by this is you don't want to build demographic based avatars, because like, and I know a lot of people do this as well. That's the funniest thing. But you can imagine, right? If you're selling that previous product, the mouth tape, and your avatar is 40 plus women, you're cutting out everyone who's under 40 unnecessarily, because people who want better sleep, like that's why a desire-based avatar here is at the top, and why it's the most important is because I want better sleep is a significantly better foundation to build your avatar off than just a fucking basic demographic. So start here, build down like experiences, you know, you've got what they've tried, like product-based experiences, what products have they tried, situational-based experiences, like they went to the doctor to get an iron blood test to see if like that's the reason why they were fatigued. Then like emotions, how do they feel because of it? Behaviors, what do they do because of it? And just all of that stuff there. And what we're going to be doing from here during our research is identifying the top 4 avatars to target, and utilizing the previous sections where I was like talking about hypothesis and awareness stage matching. We're going to come up with the most appropriate launch steps for that avatar. And I'll break this down in more detail in a minute. So moving on now, again, to customer pain immersion. And this is why manual research is the most important. And like, this is why I can tell if I hop on a call with you and I'm talking to you about your brand, I can tell very, very quickly if you've actually done research. Purely for the fact that like the way you answer questions and the ads you're creating, if I was to analyze them, are going to be significantly surface level, even if they make sense to you logically. And just to expand on this and, you know, utilize another point to show you guys why this is so important is when it comes to analyzing your funnel, analyzing why shit's going wrong, why stuff's going right, like what next steps to take. If you've done like a lot of customer research and you're like really familiar with your 4 avatars, you're going to be able to review videos and create hypotheses significantly easier, because you're able to like channel that customer in your head. Be like, oh yeah, the reason why this didn't resonate was because I remember during research, you know, someone was saying a lot about this and I haven't addressed that objection. If you're able to do that and do customer pain immersion early on, your whole process of, like I said, you know, reflections, whatever, is going to be so much faster, which is the main thing, but a lot more effective. And the goal of this is to find their exact struggles they face and the language they use. And you'll see I use this term a lot, no guesswork, because that is the whole goal here, is to remove as much guesswork as I possibly can through utilizing the exact customer insights I find during research. And this is just a rough validation chain to follow. Your product, desire, avatar, their words, your ads. So if you guys follow that, that's a pretty good foundation to build off. I'm not going to lie. You can see here as well, this is just a sneak peek out of the last video, kind of showing all of the different product research methods that I use. But if we were to go to like Reddit here, just to give you guys a bit of an example on customer research, go here, search this intended subreddit, all time, sort by top, all time, and then we're looking for posts with a high comment to upvote ratio, and this is how we're going to be able to select our, you know, avatars, or get information about our avatars and prove that they exist within the market. And this is where a lot of people make the mistake, like if they're selling a hair loss product and they come to Reddit and they're like, oh shit, you know, went to the hair loss subreddit and this post here has 1.5k upvotes and 150 comments. This is a crazy avatar. Bang, map this down. We're looking for quality over quantity here. And not only is this a wrong video because it's or wrong image, sorry, not really relevant to our customer because it's talking about wigs, there's not a lot of engagement on this post specifically. And another one we're looking for, or another one we're avoiding, is again like 1.4k upvotes to 40 comments. It shows that this is more of like a funny post. People are just upvoting it, maybe laughing, but it's not getting them to be like, you know, confess. It's not getting them to really be emotional within the comments, as compared to examples like this. You can see here, my hair was so thick. This is customer specific language. And this is why it's so important that when you're doing research, you map down everything like this. We can see here this post, 893 to 123 comments. Not the best ratio, But at the same time, I believe this post was pretty new. It was like newer in the account 5 months ago. But also, like, it's a pretty in-depth description on what this girl is actually facing. So, you know, she lost her dad in 2022, and then her hair started falling out. You know, she's been to a couple of dermatologists, but never stuck with it. So these are situational based experiences here. Trying a specific hair loss post with lovely reviews next week. So that is going to be another situational based experience and a product based experience, maybe, you know, depending if she buys products at the hair salon, whatever. But you can see here how this is more of a rant style post. Great upvote to comment ratio, directly ties to the hair loss product. And then going through the comments here, this is where the true gold was found for me on this specific avatar. So, you know, hair loss as an example, if we're able to call out grief, if someone's just lost someone and they're noticing signs of hair loss, that is significantly more specific than just being like, if you suffer from hair loss, watch this. So grief also did this for me. I cried every day for 4 months. It's never been the same. And then you can see that, you know, this girl here also lost their dad. She brought up a specific condition here, which might be a new angle that we can lean into, or a new sub-avatar even. So I went down the research rabbit hole for this. How many people suffer from telogen affluvium? Just wanted to find out if it's a common condition, because we do want to, you know, be servicing or selling to a reasonable sized TAM, not just selling to like a one-off essentially. And then went into this research article here. This had absolute gold in it when it comes to, you know, avatar language, why shit happens. And this would make a great research article for a authoritative educational angle. Because if you were to come out and target people with grief and then be like, the reason why, you know, you're losing hair after you've just lost someone is because originally in a healthy person's scalp, 85% is anagen hair and 15% is telogen hair. As when you are more stressed, the ratio shifts to being 70% of anagen hair, which causes hair loss. And then also, like, just through researching, I found a lot of other sub angles here, but again, I made a full video on this, so I'm not going to cover it in too much more detail. So moving on now to putting the pieces together. We've got the product, we've done the research, we understand who we're selling to. Now, how do we actually set all of this stuff up? Facebook, Shopify, whatever. I got you boys covered with the source. So let's just jump straight into it. Now, in this section, I'm going to show you how I set up my ads manager, like how I structure testing, and also how I build my store. So without further ado, I'm just going to grab a quick drink and then let's get into it. So Shopify store setup, KPIs, what I'm actually looking for. The whole goal here is we don't want to overcomplicate the website. If you're selling in a really sophisticated market, sure, it can be helpful to have a more comprehensive website. And I would say people now like underestimate websites more than they overestimate it. Like, because people all the time are like, oh, ads. But your ad is like only going to convert as good as your offer and your website. So if you're not being like, you're not putting the same level of effort, or, you know, putting some effort at least into building a solid website, you're going to get like just completely fucked, because people are now used to Cala data, like dropshipping shit websites. So if you're not putting a, you know, good amount of time into building your website, and it's like more with product images, making sure that's really nice, making sure your sections are clear and structured and have purpose, are handling objections. Also, like, just making sure it flows nicely, it reads, there's no, like, you know, massive errors when it comes to copy. Also, another important point is, like, when copywriting, do not like just one-to-one copy from ChatGPT. Try to be a little bit more specific with the messaging, because ChatGPT just gives slop when it comes to website copy. I could go to a website right now and I can tell you in 5 seconds if it's written with ChatGPT. And customers are getting pretty good at doing the exact same thing. So yeah, that's pretty much the website summary. So I'm gonna give you guys a link now to a live website building video. I was gonna do this myself, but I just didn't really have the time, unfortunately, as you'll see, because I have to go into detail in other sections that are more important in my opinion. But I put a link up to Nathan Miller's video. Nathan's a good bloke. You know, he's made millions in drop shipping. So just go through, you know, if you are struggling to build a website, follow his tutorial, and then yeah, you should be good to go after that. Because the whole goal of the website is got to have a clear offer, it's got to have trust signals, it's got to remove friction between the customer hitting your page to eventually, like, you know, purchasing your product. So the lower, like, you know, the least friction possible is ideal. But moving on to the ad setup now, the first ad batch creation. If you guys are curious on how to make video ads, like, because that's what most of you guys struggle with, it's not really image ads, it's more video ads. That's why I made a full live video of me editing in CapCut and like scripting and stuff. So watch that video, and then you'll know how to make ads. But the structure of the, like, how we're going to be structuring our testing, we're utilizing a testing method called the 3-2-2 method. So what this is it is 3 hook variations or 3 static variations, depending on the format of ad that you're launching. From there, we're going to be testing 2 primary texts, and then we're going to be testing 2 headlines as well. The launching protocol we're going to be following is 4 3-2-2s every 3 days. Now, just a couple important notes here, again, is we're using the CBO structure, campaign budget optimization, not ad set budget optimization. We're also going to be using the single image and video option that is available on the ad account, because a lot of you guys are like, right, you run flexies or whatever. But the whole goal here is to get as much data as possible. And when you're running flexible ads, you can't see which hook variation took spend, which is just stupid in my opinion. And the reason why this method works so well is because we are utilizing Facebook's new Andromeda update, and we're playing with them rather than against them, because they are now favoring fully broad targeting, and they are, you know, favoring creatives doing the targeting rather than just manually putting in interests. So the whole goal here for us, and it's why I said we don't need to focus on media buying or anything, because we can just make better ads and then we're going to make more money. And you'll see later on when I show you a live ad account example of what our testing structure looks like, what a winning ad looks like when it comes to the ads, how I launch iterations, whatever, like why this is so important, because we're not caring about like soft metrics that much. We're just looking at amount spent and ROAS, and that's all we're looking at. Because truthfully, you know, you can have really good soft metrics on an ad and you can have really low CPMs or whatever, but if it's not resonating and it's not converting, it doesn't really matter. If it's taking spend, that's a good sign, and that's the sign we can iterate on it. But for the most part, less is more with Facebook. We're going to keep our testing set up as simple as we possibly can. Don't worry if this doesn't make much sense to you now, because like I said, there's a 30-minute segment coming up of me just breaking down our entire ad account, showing you what a winner looks like, and then it will be a lot clearer of what that looks like. So when it comes to the launching process of these 3-2-2s, I mean, a lot of people have different opinions on this. I just like the batch launch initially. So when I'm testing, I don't know why this says 4. I fucking did that. But yeah, 3-2-2s every 3 days. The whole goal here is quality over quantity. And then you should be sweet. As long as you're processing learnings and creating hypotheses before and after every launch, that is the only thing that matters. Like when we were at 50K a day, we were testing 6 concepts per week. You take Golfam as an example. I don't know, maybe some of you guys don't know him, but he went from 1K days to 150K days in like a month. He was launching 7 concepts a week. So most of you guys are out here trying to launch hundreds and hundreds of ads. And I've had people come to me saying they've launched 500 ads and never found a winner. And I'm like, dude, you know, that is literally Einstein's definition of stupid, you know, or an idiot. If you just do the same shit over and over and over and expect different results. If you're not tracking your ads, you're not processing learnings, you're not creating a hypothesis and testing accurately, you can launch hundreds of ads and you're still going to be in the exact same position. So again, use that previous training that I showed you on creating hypotheses, process learnings after, and then you will be scaling in no time. All right, phase 3. Trial by fire. Now, this is quite possibly the most important section of this entire video, because this is where everyone, you know, gives up. This is why the statistic 99% of dropshippers never make money, or even 99% of people fail in business, is through this phase here. So, you know, it's all well and good if we have the best systems ever, if we know exactly what to do, if we pick the perfect product, but you guys don't understand the concepts that I'm going to teach you in this module here, everything else is irrelevant. So please pay attention to what I'm saying, because this is someone who was in this phase for fucking months. I'm telling you, like, I was on fire, and the reason why I use this analogy is because this is how it feels. You know, I'm not going to be the guy that's like, you know, trying to sell you a course and, oh yeah, fucking day 1 of dropshipping and day 7 of dropshipping, I'm making 10K a day. No. Like, you are going to go through a purgatory period where you're like killing your past self, you're killing all of your existing beliefs, and you're becoming the person that is able to make this amount of money. Because I know nowadays, like, people just think $1 million a month is like light work. You should have been doing that at 7 years old. That is a lot. Like, 100K a month in ecom, like that's 30K a month net profit. And again, so many people say that's fucked or like it's shit. That's like a doctor's salary. And most of you guys who are watching this are extremely young. And you aren't 30, 40, 50. I mean, maybe you are. But the point I'm trying to get at here is doctors go to uni for 6 years, 8, maybe even longer. I'm not sure the exact timeline, but you have to give up, like, I said 22 to 60 days in this thing, but sometimes depending on where you're at, it can take months. But I just want you to get a bit of context on what you're trying to achieve. And you're trying to get something that everyone wants. So you have to be willing to put in the work that no one is willing to do. And, now that we recognize this, and now that we recognize it's going to be quite possibly the hardest thing you ever do in your life, we can essentially map ourselves on this scale here, which I'll show you in a second. But the objective here is to run calculated tests, collect data, utilize your learnings from the previous launches to become a smarter and better marketer. We're not expecting profits during this specific time period. We are paying for information. Each test is going to teach you something, and we just need to fill that gap between, like I said before, the difference between you and the guy who's making 10K a day is literally just an information gap. So this is a really good graph here. I know a lot of people in, different industries and businesses and stuff use this, but this is essentially the ecom graph when it comes to, seeing results, because this is, you can imagine, like, this is your first week of testing, or this is your first 2 weeks, maybe even less than that. You're thinking about all the money you're going to make. You're thinking about the lifestyle that you're going to live, all the stuff you can do. And then very quickly, your reality is shattered and it's broken. And this is where most people give up, is in the valley of despair here. But the good news is now we know it, we're expecting it to be very, very difficult. And also we can, maybe play around with it a bit and be like, oh yeah, I was at the peak, or I was at the complete trough 2 weeks ago. So now maybe I'm here. Now maybe I'm here. Now maybe I'm here. I don't know. It's just a bit of, like, maybe gives you a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, because sometimes it can just feel like you're completely fucked. And granted, this graph, like, it might look like this, like way less kind of, I know this isn't linear, but it's like straight lines, as your ecom journey will kind of look more like this. It will be like this. It'll be like, oh shit, bang, first winning ad. And then you don't know why it went right. And then you're like, oh shit, another winning ad. And then you're like, damn, we've got to downscale because of a pattern or something out of my control. And then, we're making a shit ton more money. So now that we recognize this, we can move on to the reframe, essentially. From, like I said before, we're not expecting money, and we're not setting outcome-based goals, which is another huge issue I see a lot of you guys doing. Is you're like, oh, I'm going to make X amount of money, like 10K days by March, or 100K days by May, or whatever. Ecom is like one of the most exponential fucking business models of all time. It's not like an agency model, or it's not like, anything else. It really is one of a kind, because you will go, like, take us as an example. We went from losing money and just getting absolutely just railed to making 10K days in less than 10 days, or less than 2 weeks. That was on our first product launch. We were like testing, losing a bunch of money. Oh shit, 10K days. So that is how ecom is, and that is the unfortunate reality. It's why it's so hard, but it's also why it's so great. Because when you do hit this, like your first winning ad, if you guys have experienced it, you'll know how it feels. If you haven't, it is like the closest thing to drugs ever. Like, it is the best feeling in the world by far. The only issue with that is you will constantly be chasing it, but nothing ever will feel as good as that ever again. Just bringing it back to this graph here and giving you guys more of like an actual example, like an actionable example or a tangible example. The more you fail, the more pain you're likely to be in. And that's why I said, trial by fire, is because this entire process is going to be us failing and losing money and most likely being confused at a lot of the stuff that's going on. Because a big misconception as well, just to point out, is it's okay to be confused in the beginning. Like, you don't have to have everything figured out. It's a part of the process. If you guys have ever heard of the saying, most of you probably had, trusting the process. Trusting the process, like actually understanding what that means, is when you wake up, you publish ads and you've been banned by Facebook. That is the process. When you get up and you don't do much work at all, that is the process. Like, when you get up and you just feel like quitting and giving up, that is the process. So if you're able to just trust it, because that's what most people think. They just think it's going to be some linear scale of, publish more ads, yep, sweet, learn, and then make more money. But they completely disregard the fact that there is factors that are somewhat out of your control that will impact you, but it is normal. Like I was saying with the ad account bans, you take Alex as an example. Alex Nguyen. Like, I was talking to Alex before he made any money back in April, and he was like, hey, Ryan, bangs, 8th ad account ban. He went through like 26 ad account bans, but now he's doing 300K a month MRR, and he's doing like, 6 figures a month USD in profit. So if anyone understands the concept of trusting the process, it's that motherfucker. And if I've ever seen it, like, because he got punched harder than anyone, but he just absolutely became a beast because of it. And that's why I said this, the more failures you're likely to be in, more failures equals more learnings, the more learnings equals more earnings. So the more pain you're in is most likely directly correlated to the amount you're earning initially. Don't just go out and punch yourself in the face because you want to be in pain. So speed running to 10K days requires a lot of things, but I boiled it down to the main 3 that I've seen in people that I've helped hit 10K days. I've hit 10K days myself. Like several times, and just talking to the ecom community. These are the 3 biggest skills that those people that hit that figure have and live by, essentially. And if you ever see those guys who come into ecom and they're like day 1, and then you see them like day 40 and they're already doing like 10K days, they didn't just get lucky. It's most likely due to these 3 factors here. So the first one is lightning fast execution and slow reflections. And what I mean by this is you have to learn when to be fast and you have to learn when to be slow in ecom. Because if you're just trying to rush everything, or, God forbid, you're just being the slowest person ever, taking weeks and weeks and weeks to do shit, which that is possibly the worst personality trait that you can possess. And I know that because I was that guy at one point. So just to put a bit more emphasis on this, like when it comes to, getting an idea in your head to execution, that should be very fast. But when it comes to, reflecting on that idea's performance and how it actually, had an effect on your ad account, just say it was an ad that you published, you should take your time. Because it's the same reason why the expression shower thoughts exist. Because for a bit, even now, your day is so fast paced, just scrolling your phone, listening to music, doing work. Your brain never has time to slow down. So that is why, sometimes I'll get the most insane ad ideas in the shower, or I'll be lying down on my bed at night and be like, oh fuck, that's a sick ad idea. Pick up my phone and then write it into my notes. So now going on that, just a bit of a personal thing is I take 10 to 15 minute quiet walks a day to really give my brain time to think. And I've come up with some of my best ad ideations and ideas off that, because you need to give your brain time to kind of process the information that you're doing. Because you're always sprinting, you're severely limiting your subconscious mind to then take the stuff that you're doing and give you new ad ideas. So that's just one thing. The next thing is the white belt mentality. Now, this was a big one for me. I made a long tweet about this, but, I've been in ecom for 2 years now. And last Black Friday or last Q4, before then, I had a pretty decent ego on me. I'd made several winning ads in the past. We'd done about $3 million in revenue. I was like, I'm the shit when it comes to making ads. So I stopped going out and pursuing new information every single day. And I did that for a few months. It caused the results in our business to just get cut. It caused our business to just go downhill significantly. And after sitting and reflecting at the fact after a couple of months of this, I realized exactly what it was. And it was this: I had an ego about me and I thought I was the shit. So the business started dropping significantly and I didn't realize why. And I was making so many ads. September to October, I was in the trenches. making like 2 AI voiceover ads a day, which was, you know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you make over a minute long videos and script them and, you know, process learnings on them and everything, that was like 12 to 14 hours just gone. So after doing that for a month and not finding any winners, I was like, oh shit, you know, maybe I'm not this savage guru marketer that I think I am. So I went back to the drawing boards and I was like, okay, let me just rebuild my foundation from the ground up. Went through the Evolve course, like went through a bunch of people's courses, just consumed as much information as I possibly could. And like 2 weeks later, we launched a winner. And then like a month later, we did our first $1 million month. So that's the point I'm trying to get to you guys here is, even if you are like some savvy marketer, if you've ran up millions of dollars in ecom, adopt the white belt mentality, try to accept that you know nothing, and actively pursue new information every single day, because this is going to be the biggest factor in determining your decision, like the decisions you make throughout your business, which is going to determine how much money you make. So very crucial point here. And another thing as well, like people who are doing 100K a day, 200K a day, they're actively pursuing information. I know this because I talk to a lot of guys who are crushing it at that scale. These guys are learning more than you, who are doing, you know, $0 a day. So the fact that they, of all people, are, you know, really hammering, you know, new information like copywriting, whatever, every single day, should be a big indicator that you need to step up your kind of information absorption stage. So another thing as well, like the third one, this is kind of it's an obvious one, but at the same time, a lot of people don't have it. And I know this because, again, I was like this myself. I was all of these three, like the opposite of all of these three at one point. And it took a lot to kind of build myself into the person that I am now. It was fucking painful. I mean, you can see a video on my channel from like a year ago, or like 8 months ago, where I filmed a video where I was pretty much just crying because I was like, I made $2 million, but I was just undisciplined and just really in a bad state. So that's why I included this one, is because a lot of this, like everything in ecom, is just mindset. Like if you don't give up, it's cliche to say, because literally like the only thing that's going to stop you making money is yourself. If you're getting up every single day and you're doing what you have to do, regardless of the time period, you're going to get the results. It's like going to the gym every single day for a year and being like, you know, what if I don't get results? You will get results. The results might vary depending on the amount of effort that you're putting in, but you will get results. And that's why I also included emotional regulation. Is this entire process, like when it comes to launching products and stuff and getting 0 sales in day 1, day 2, whatever, it is severely it just beats you. It beats you into the ground. So you have to be able to see the bigger picture, understand what you're doing, put your emotions aside, and just trust the process, like I was saying before. Because you'll see in a second, like I was saying before, when I break down a live product test for me, our first week ROAS was like 0.8. But then I found a winner, and like 1 day later we were scaling. So it's just critical that you identify your flaws, be honest, you know, have the hard conversation with yourself in the mirror, and then take the preventative actions that you need based on your flaws, and work actively to becoming the person that possesses these 3 personality traits here. So now that I've covered all the mindset shit, we can move on to bulletproof testing, like how to structure your tests, and also just giving you guys some clarity on terminology that I use, because during that ad account video, you're going to hear me like talking about, you know, ideations, variations, and iterations a lot. So I thought I'd give you a like as clear picture as I possibly can on what these actually look like and what they like, how you should structure them in your ad account. So ideations it's exactly as it sounds. It's just an idea that you're testing on. So, you know, you're initially, when you launch, that is all ideations, because you're coming up with hypothesis and then you are testing that. You don't have any previous data to work on. So this is where we really want to take our big swings to get as much information as we possibly can. And this is why I was saying it's so important to do the necessary research beforehand to come up with the format and the way of speaking to the customer that has the highest chance of hitting. Because you're testing to find what works, and what works might not be directly clear to you in the sense of you're extremely profitable off the rip. It might just be Facebook allocating a lot of spend to a specific creative. It's telling you, you know, this hook is really, really good. The rest of this video is shit. You then can go through and be like, okay, bang, there's a reason why Facebook is spending on this. Let me figure out why, and then launch variations based on that, which I'll explain in a second. So these might be some example ideation pre-launch questions. Based on my research, why do I believe this avatar will respond to this format? What emotional trigger am I leading with and why? What does this customer already believe and how am I speaking to that? What awareness level is this avatar and does it match my message? If this wins or loses, what does it tell me about my market? And again, reiterating that 100% ad hit rate theory that I was talking about before, regardless of the results of a test, if you have a objective, okay, sweet. If it wins, good, I make money. If it's bad, good, I learn a shit ton and I'm able to, become a better marketer and have a higher chance of finding a winner. So guidelines and objectives now, obviously this is for ideations. So we're going with research-driven concepts. Again, the saying that I've said 100 times through this videos is we are using research, we're not guessing. Very big swings, different avatars, different angles initially, trying to get as much data as we possibly can, testing hypotheses to find resonation signals, and the resonation signals are coming through the allocation of budget by Facebook. So now that we've got the ideation concept dialed in, we're going to move on to variations. So we now have the most valuable thing in ecom. It's not sales, it's data. We have a top spending ideation, maybe we have 2 top spending ideations, whatever, from the previous launch. We can now iterate based on data, which is the most effective thing you can possibly do. Because again, we're getting rid of the guess element, and we are just taking the signals that Facebook is giving us and then adjusting our approach based on that. So you take that top spending avatar angle, test different formats or executions around it. You're testing to expand what works. So these might be some example variation pre-launch questions. So, why might this format work better for this avatar? Does this audience respond better to X or Y? Education on motion. Would this audience respond better if a pre-lander was implemented? If there's a bit of an awareness mismatch between your script, your audience, and your product page, you might want to implement a pre-lander in place to help convert the people that are too cold. That could be a good strategy. That's a very, very good strategy, actually. And you'll see how in the ad account breakdown in a minute, that's all it really took for us to just rip. Guidelines, objectives, launch variations around that top spending concept, testing different formats, different hooks, different executions, save proven concept, different delivery. Now, the biggest issue people make with variations, I cover it in a second, but your swings are too small. You need to be taking massive swings with your variations as well. Like potentially even having a controlled variation to test that original format and then taking 2 massive swings with your other creators when it comes to the hooks is the most effective way that we've found winners as fast as we possibly can. So now moving on to iterations. So this is improving what already works. So this isn't really that relevant to the stage that we're currently at, but it is a crucial part essentially of the ad testing process. So once we find a winner, it's hitting our KPIs. We now want to maximize that ad's performance. I need to do this, change this to iteration. I don't know why that was ideation. And the whole goal of iterations, it's very, very simple, is just to make the ad better. Like that is literally it. I can give you example pre-launch questions like what's the weakest part of this ad that's already working? What a more authentic creator, delivery, improve hook rate. Like there is so much shit that could be the issue with your script that you can analyze and then just launch an iteration of. And you can get an improvement on performance on that, because the whole goal here, again, like I said, is just to make the best quality ads we can. So going through and being like, all right, sweet. This visual here was a little bit unclear. This hook here was maybe not the best. You can go ahead, change this out for a different visual. Okay, this visual here wasn't that relevant to my avatar, whatever. The ad's already working. So the concept, like the format is good. You just need to try your best to then beat that, which is obviously the main goal. So the guidelines, objectives, make the winner, win even harder by making the ad better. Very, very simple, very, very straightforward. But now hopefully you guys get an understanding of exactly what these concepts mean, how I implement them during my testing, because they are very, very crucial. If you don't understand them, you'll be launching just fucking all over the place. So now that you guys understand that, we can move on to the initial setup of our campaign. Okay, so now we want to take our top 4 avatars that we found during research. And, a pretty common thing here that a lot of people ask me is like, oh, how do I know the best avatars or whatever? You just have to, like, again, this is all through hypothesis. We don't have data yet. So you just have to come up with the avatars that you think are the best for your product. Like you can't be like, there's no best avatar essentially until it's been proven. So all of these are just hypotheses that we've created based on our research. So, you know, you've got avatar 1 here, concept, then you've got swing 1, swing 2, swing 3. Again, 2, like the exact same thing, 3, exact same thing, 4, exact same thing. And then we are going to be running on a budget of 1.5 times our AOV minimum daily. We're going to be running 7 days per product test, and we're going to be launching to the top 4 countries, which are these ones here. If you guys didn't know, you know, US, Canada, AU, UK. The first 3 days of our test are going to be, I just want you guys to be this dog here. Like, literally, just don't even look at your ad account. I mean, you can, obviously, to see which ad has stopped spending and then starting to create new launch hypothesis. But I don't give a shit about sales at all. Like, genuinely. The whole goal here is, like I was saying before, is to get the most valuable thing in ecom, which is data, which is going to give us directional clarity on what steps to take next. So, just going to launch and leave, do not judge, do not panic, let Facebook learn, results are not expected. And you wouldn't believe the amount of people that just fuck up the first 3 days. Like, it is crazy. All you have to do is just let Facebook allocate spend. We're not expecting results. We're not expecting, you know, anything like that. In the first 3 days of my product launch, I sleep peacefully because I know Facebook, I trust Facebook is going to allocate spend to the creative that has the highest chance of resonating. So days 4 to 7, we're going to begin to analyze. Like, I know I said here, don't look at your ad account, but it is important. Go through, if an ad's absolutely dominating in spend, begin to analyze and hypothesize before. So then when it comes to day like 4 to 7, so we can launch new variations around that ad, or even, you know, new ideations depending on the performance. And like, these are, and we just want to ask ourselves why. Like, why is Facebook spending on this ad specifically? You know, why this visual, headline, avatar, depending on whether you're running statics or videos. You just really want to stare at the video that stops spending for a long period of time. That's why I was saying fast execution, slow reflections. Sometimes I just stare at my winning ads for like an hour, and then I'm like, oh shit, bang, new iteration concept, or this could be the issue here, or this could be why it worked. I just stare at it and then, you know, just watch it over and over and over and take notes on it. And then very quickly, if you've done the correct market research and you're able to put yourself in the customer's shoes and view it from their perspective, you'll be able to scale up. So moving on now, I just included a little example for you guys to show the impact ads have, not only on your like performance, but on your Shopify store as well, is like just through conversion rate. So here was the product launch. You know, we had 48 add to carts and 7 checkouts, 3 complete purchases. If you guys saw this, you'd be like, oh, like, let me fucking add some trust badges. Let me mix up my add to cart. There's obviously friction there or whatever, without realizing it was just your ads kind of attracting window shoppers. And I was trying to test this theory and be like, okay, what if I just change nothing on the site and just try and launch, you know, new ads that are better? Did that. And then you can see here, bang, this was like 2 weeks later, I think, 3.51% conversion rate and 357 orders in a day. Just from better ads. It's fucking hilarious. But change the thing that most people didn't look at, and, you know, further emphasizing on the point that I say ads are extremely important. And here's another really important testing guideline I want you guys to go like understand. And again, it re-emphasizes the point on why the first 3 days just don't really matter. Is if you launch with your avatar and like the concept and the swings that you've got, if they are all trash and all of the ads in your ad account are trash, most likely they are if you're not scaling, this, like, Facebook is just going to allocate the budget to the like ad that's just the least pile of garbage, if that makes sense. It's still a pile of garbage, but it's just the least shit. So your results are going to be reflective on that, which are going to be terrible, but you now have data that you can then, you know, take this ad and be like, okay, well, why was this ad trash? Like, why was Facebook allocating spend, like I was saying before? And then you're able to create an ad that has a significantly higher chance of converting. So moving on now to like just a rough kind of guideline sheet made for myself. If I could, you know, like I said, if I could send this video to myself when I have no information or no money in my account, this is kind of the testing protocol I'd put myself through. And obviously it depends on your job, a lot of external circumstances, but this is kind of decent, I would say. I kind of just whipped this up with Claude, if I'm being honest. So just don't follow this too directly, but it just goes to show, like, every single day, a focus point for you should be like learning new information to make your ads better. And then this is kind of just like how I would structure my product launches. just like a rough guideline. And then I have the when the shit doesn't work, I actually change this to 70%, 20%, 60%. This is kind of like where I'd be putting my focus towards. So like when you launch a product, very rarely, unless you're just bad at choosing products, is it the product itself. It's most likely your ads. And if I could put the statistic here as like 99% and disregard all these other ones, I would. But like I said, it is also important to look at the bigger picture and, you know, look at your offer, look at your website, but most of your attention should be at your ads. Like that's where your focus should be going every single day. That is the highest point of leverage that I was talking about before when it comes to investing time, like putting, you know, 1 minute in and getting $10 out. If that is anything, it's ads. And as well, like I was saying before, you know, you're able to just 100x your product, like, or your scalability just through a winning ad. And you'll see this through this example here. And this is probably like the most valuable thing that I've ever posted on my channel. Just for a lot of you guys, I know it will be helpful. And this is essentially a product becoming winner live. So like I was saying, what trusting the process and what fast execution actually looks like, and just the speed that I'm, you know, kind of coming up with ideas and launching at, so you guys can get an understanding of like what the fuck's going on. Because like day 2 to 3, 0.8 ROAS, day 1, 0 sales. Like this is probably what a lot of you guys need to see. So I'm going to go ahead and put it's like a pre-recorded video up on screen. This was for the Discord first. So again, like I said, if you're not in the Discord, join the Discord. There's so much free source in there. But I gave it to those guys first because it is just insanely valuable. And I break this down in a lot more detail. So once that is done, I will be back here and explaining the rest of the video. There isn't any camera though. That is the most annoying thing. Loom just decided to give me the middle finger. But yeah, hopefully you guys find that useful. All right, what's good, boys? This is going to be more of like a Discord exclusive video, or whoever I decide to send this video to. This is a section from the new video that I'm scripting. I want to put more emphasis on this part because I believe it is quite possibly, I mean, I don't know anyone else who's doing this right now, showing you exactly how we took a product from being completely negative, 0 ROAS, to then scaling to 25K a day in less than 3 days. And you'll see the entire process behind that, my thoughts, my hypotheses, how I test it, and everything like that. So before we jump into it, just a bit of context and KPIs for you guys. This product was found on Ad Library. Testing budget, $140 a day. Scaling KPIs, target ROAS was 2.2. This was because our break-even ROAS was low, because our product markup was really big. If you guys don't know how to set target ROAS, I literally just add 1 to my break-even ROAS, and then kind of like round up. So I think it was like a 1.17 break-even ROAS, round up, add 1, very simple. Scaling protocol initially is a lot different to, you know, how you would scale once a product is proven. I like to give it 48 to 72 hours. The reason for this is to avoid emotional changes to the budget. Like you don't want to, when you're at a lower spend, the sample size is lower, which means you're more subject to the ROAS roller coaster because the law of averages doesn't come into play. If you're, I break this down in more detail in a second, but just keep that in mind when you're launching. You don't want to be constantly scaling down, scaling down, scaling, and then just constantly like changing your budget daily, because it really does fuck with Facebook's optimization system. And the less changes, like less is more when it comes to changes with Facebook. So structure, very simple. 1 CBO campaign, fully broad. The system that I've been teaching you guys, all statics on the pre-launch, or, you know, in this initial launching process. I did, or another important thing, go drink. Another important thing to realize is I did 2 full days of research even before launching. I put so much work into understanding the customer. Even though you'll see here, if we come down to day 1 and just jumping straight into it to show you guys exactly what it looks like, I was a bit sloppy with my naming system and my initial ads because I wanted to get this product live by November 1st. So I rushed the ad creation process initially, and you'll see that was kind of a big error on my part. But also I did make changes to, you know, combat that later on, so it wasn't really a big issue. Ignore that naming structure for now. Main thing we're focusing here, or main thing I'm looking at here, is the creative stop spending. We can see here that one creative is dominating most of the spend. Again, it's 1 day metrics. Facebook didn't even spend the full $140 budget, so wasn't paying attention to too much here. Just an important note why I circled CPM. It's very low here because, or it's lower here because we're using an aged ad account. So Facebook trusts us more, and we're not running everything completely fresh. So days 2 to 3 now, what I'm looking at here, again, CPMs, don't really care about them in the first week, whether they're good or bad, because they fluctuate a lot. If you understand how Facebook or CPMs work in general, you will realize why they don't actually matter as much as you think, because even if you are getting really expensive CPMs, Facebook will be actively trying to reduce them through, understanding your customer better and then showing them ads that are related to them. Because if your ads are all over the place, it's unclear with its targeting, Facebook's not going to know who to target. So it's why you get punished with high CPMs. You're not shadow banned, your ads are just bad. So moving on now, amount spent. We can see here a very nice even distribution in spend between, like 101, 101, and 104 here. Again, I messed up the naming system, so ignore that. This is good because this shows us that, our creative diversity was pretty strong, and the visuals were clear, which allows Facebook to spend on them more effectively and get data. Because if you guys are launching and, one ad's taken all of the spend and none of them are really spending at all, chances are the creative diversity you had, especially on a fresh ad account, is just not good enough. So ROAS here, I don't care about ROAS, especially in the short term. I'm not even looking at this, just wanted to circle it because a lot of you guys do pay attention to it. But the reason why I don't care again is because it's been 3 days. Like most of you guys would turn the product off after this point because it's not profitable or whatever. But the main thing I'm looking at here is amount spent and then coming up with the most appropriate actions to take because of this. Sorry, my mouth's very dry at the moment. So first post-launch sequence. All my observations, changes, everything. So observations on the top spending ads. Obviously, Avatar 101 is dominating. So I'm going to put my focus more towards them and then come up with follow-up sequences that are most appropriate towards them as well. So there was a big awareness gap between the avatar and the product page. Again, this was kind of just because I was pretty fast with my launch process. That's why you got to slow down. But people who were hitting the product page were too cold. Product page was probably, I think it was product aware off the top of my head. So there was a big disconnect because people who are clicking, they're more clicking out of curiosity due to the type of ads that these were. So when they hit the product page, they have no reason to buy. We haven't evoked emotion with them. We haven't put them in a selling like state yet. So top spending ad, it was ugly, small amount of copy and imperfect visuals. This was done intentionally off the back of our competitors who were using these similar visuals towards a different avatar. I noticed, maybe there's a little bit of correlation between these two avatars here. So I launched, that same format that was proven for them towards ours. And it paid off by being the top 2 spenders. Another big issue, I already covered this, but the initial ads were pretty surface level. I rushed to get these out. So another important thing during this whole process or during these 3 days is I am doing so much customer research. I'm, going through everything, really trying to pull out new golden quotes and get as much insight into the customer's pain points as I possibly can. So you can see here I identified a new golden quote through research. And this golden quote was more tied to a specific micro moment that was very relatable, getting a lot of engagement, and it was consistent through TikTok, Reddit, and all the other research platforms. So I decided to map that down. Competitors were scaling off very low quality quiz funnels. What I mean by this is their overall quiz funnels just sucked. From what I'd seen, previous quiz funnels I'd seen in the past, due to their loading speed and image quality, it was just very bad. So changes, launched a quiz funnel or built and launched a quiz funnel against these new creatives in an attempt to improve the awareness gap. And we did this through product match pages that were specific to the awareness stage the buyer was at. Dupe the product page and tailored messaging towards top spending avatar. You'll see what this means here. So this was kind of the funnel layout that I was running. So static, getting the click, sending people to the quiz. They're getting a product match page based on their awareness stage. And then from there, they're getting sent to a avatar specific product page. Now, all of the guys that were, all the people that were coming through this quiz were the same avatar. So once they once they get hit with the product match page, they all end up at the same product page. I wasn't building out 50 product pages here. I just built one, but it was more the visuals and the copy were more tailored towards them directly. So that's why that was implemented. Another important thing to realize as well is I was Like, I had no idea. I've never built a quiz funnel before this. I learned, built, and, you know, queued these against the new ads in under 36 hours. And this is one of the most important things you'll realize and you'll notice through my whole testing process is how fast we execute. Granted, here I was on a lot of stimulants, like fucking pretty much everything under the sun. So my workload was, it was a lot higher, and fucking, it was not a good time for me. But moral of the story, a lot of hard work went into this. So giving you guys a bit more insight into what the DCTs actually consisted of. 105, very big swing here, testing the same avatar from a different messaging / visual angle, sending all traffic to a quiz. 106, utilizing the golden quote plus the proven visuals in the last ads. Bit of a variation on those visuals as well. Anyways, moving on to testing objective now, like the hypothesis I set. So this was the two main ones. I don't have my exact ones. I can't be that specific. I do make my hypothesis more tailored or more specific, you could say, but I can't leak the full thing because obviously it would leak my product. But this is kind of like an outline. So will the implementation of a quiz funnel against the avatar improve performance as product match pages are built for their objection level or, you know, awareness level? And then utilizing the calculated larger swing in 105 will allow me to see if this avatar responds better to a more indirect call out. Again, I can't really mention what that indirect call out was, but you can use your imagination. Okay, day 4 launch. One thing I really want to draw your attention to is the fact that most of the new ads I launch initially always take spend. And the reason for this is, again, apologies for the naming system. I put this next to it just to give a bit more clarity. But the reason for this is because if you complete feedback loops correctly, you become smarter with every single test, which means as a result of that, your ads should be getting better. So once you launch, or if you do this correctly, you will see an improvement in your like overall ad hit rate. I wouldn't really say winning ad hit rate because we're still not profitable at all. But the overall goal here is just to make our ads stronger until we're able to locate a winner. So again, like I was saying before, I didn't scale off this. We did hit our KPI on this day. And a lot of you guys would just completely go stupid here and like double budgets, do all this crazy stuff. But you'll see, I don't touch my budget in this day. And the reason for this is, again, just here was some additional notes that I wrote. So obviously I'm not scaling off one-day metrics. CTR on 105 is significantly better. And also another important thing to realize is ignore this ad with 16.25 ROAS. It's only spent $9. It probably got a lucky sale or 2 lucky sales. I don't even put any attention to all this. An easy way to tell if someone's new to dropshipping is if they zoom in on this screenshot here and go, holy shit, like fucking 16 ROAS, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, I could have an ad with 1,000 ROAS. If it's spent 1 cent, it really doesn't mean shit to me. So moving on now to day 5. And you can see here, this is exactly why I don't scale. ROAS got reset to 0. We didn't get any sales. That's why I'm not scaling. And give you guys a bit more clarity on this is, or like, you know, why it's so important to stay disciplined and then follow this scaling protocol is all because of sample size. Like I said before, we're not selling to robots. So on Monday, if we spend $100 on ads and Mark Zuckerberg shows them to, we got Timmy here, he's just fucking, I don't know, maybe got like a tax refund. We've got Melissa here, who's just, I don't know, maybe had a great day with her husband. She's feeling really good. She's in a more like positive emotional state. And then we've got Jeremy down here, who's, I don't know, maybe got a work pay rise, something like that. These people are going to be more primed to buy due to the emotional state that we're in and external factors that we can't control. So this is why you then get the ROAS roller coaster effect. Because we're at such a small sample size, the law of averages can't come into effect. Like, you can imagine if we then took, like, combined these and times it by 10 or 100, you are then going to get more averaged out or like better performance essentially because the sample size is larger. So even if these people down here, you know, have had all these negative things. So just say she had to pay rent, she got a speeding fine, or he got a speeding fine, and this guy down here, I don't know, got caught up with something. But even if we have these people in there, because we have a larger sample size and we also have the positive buyers as well, it's going to reduce our like ROAS roller coaster initially. So you can see here, if we move to day 6 now, again, 0 ROAS, but I'm really not too bothered on that. Another important thing to realize is these two ads here are fighting for spend, which is usually it's a pretty good sign, shows that, you know, they're like, Facebook's adjusting correctly. Another thing I did here was turned off the ads with 0 spend to allow for cleaner optimization in the newest ads that we launch, because on day 7, we are launching, or we're going through our second post-launch sequence. You can see here, week 1 summary. This is where a lot of you guys would collapse and fold. We've got 0.76 ROAS here on $900 spent. This is typical for, you know, the Caladata YNs who would then say this product sucks, and we're not like that anymore. You know, we're more mature. I don't know why I said that, but anyways. So day 7, the main observations I had. My quiz file load time, it was AIDS. Like, there was a huge drop off between link clicks and quiz starts, which means that the platform that I was running my quiz off, it was really like clunky, and it just caused people to not even start the quiz, which was a huge issue. Another issue, visuals on the statics could still be better. My hypothesis here was that the ugly ads were most likely stopping the scroll and gathering clicks more out of curiosity rather than actual buying intent. Even though we did implement the quiz funnel, I did notice that the quality of traffic was pretty low. So I've switched my visuals to then be more towards, you know, this new ad, or I think it was 105 with the larger swing, and dialed that in. So another big thing was obviously a lot more research done, and this is where I really started to get just start coming up with winning ad concepts. So found a lot of before and after visuals and transformation stories on Reddit and TikTok were crushing, like very high comments, very high engagement. I then created a hypothesis on combining these visuals plus the quiz funnel, which led to these new ads. 107, this was me being a bit of a dumbass, I can't lie. Looking back on it now, I don't know why I launched this ad, but I was trying to just test like text variations or something, and my hypothesis wasn't even that clear. The reason why I included this is just to show you guys that I do make mistakes as well during my testing process, and you'll see how, like, you know, this was a lazy ad, and you can see how Facebook punishes you for not putting effort into making your ads. As 108, this was complete opposite. I put hours into constructing these like 3 statics around this concept here. Very, very good. It was fueled by, you know, real customer observations, removing as much guesswork as I possibly can. And as you guys will see, you know, this is where stuff starts to pay off. So 108, this ad was built on research, and you can see instantly starts dominating spend with a very, very strong CTR. The ad that didn't spend at all, 107, it spent 23 cents. Like, it didn't spend anything. So you can see the difference between putting a lot of effort into your ads, even though this ad isn't profitable yet. I was pretty confident that with this boost in CTR, even though it was 1-day metrics, that we would see an increase in performance just due to the type of ad that this actually was. So also, just another thing, I didn't mention this. I don't know why I didn't, but I launched a new quiz funnel. It was with Heyflow instead of, I can't even remember the original quiz funnel program I was using. So that's how I made an improvement to this load time here, was through running it off a new platform like Heyflow. If you guys are building quiz funnels, they're absolutely amazing. I would recommend them fully. Very, very strong, but moving back to day 8 now. So this is when I started to, you know, act like this. And this is when I realized that, all right, this product definitely has potential, because 2 days in a row of very strong CTR, cost per click, ROAS is definitely starting to increase. And due to these external factors, I believe it was day 9. Did I scale? No, I didn't. Still didn't scale. So day 9, we can see here again, this ad 104 now starting to get people to convert. Facebook starting to find the buyers in the market. 4.75% click-through rate, insane. Very strong ROAS there, and this is where, you know, day 10, this is where stuff starts to get fun. So scaled 20%, launched 109, 110, all to quiz funnel. 109, 110 were just more iterations around the top spender. 109 got deleted. I don't know why, but it wasn't performing anyways. We can see that 110 here, getting a little bit of spend, but overall performance today was very, very strong. So then day 11, this is when stuff starts to get crazy. I think I talk about it more here, but see how as you post an ad that's really good, it brings the performance of your ad account up. And I think I read some points down here. Yeah, like 105.1. So this ad all the way up here, where was it? 105.1 here. This ad was performing really good on day 1. of launch. But then as it started to go on, we can see that these ads, so this was 105, this was 106, we can see these are starting to fight for spend. Now keep in mind, 106 was the ugly ad with like lower quality visuals, and my hypothesis from this was that was like attracting lower quality audience. Even though it was stopping the scroll a lot more, the people who were stopping their thumb at this visual weren't the buyers that we wanted. So as we launched this really new strong ad, as you can see here, it then readjusted, like Facebook then readjusted its targeting the whole ad account to be more towards this specific buyer here. So that's why you see this massive increase in performance. So another thing as well to realize, this was like, hey Flo, just to give you guys a bit of an understanding of how much effort I put into this, like we were getting like crazy quiz funnel analytics. Even though the people weren't converting at that high scale, we were very profitable off this, but it just goes to show like the level of effort that you put into your funnels and the ads itself will really reflect. And I don't even know what this guy just said. Yeah, the drop-off rate and CVR of the funnel is well above the benchmark for e-commerce businesses in the quiz funnel space. I don't know if that's just like what they say to everyone, but that was pretty cool to see. So very good day. This ad took spend 4 ROAS, 2.8 ROAS again, scaled. And then day 12, this is where fucking, man, it's tough times. Our product that we were selling, we had to turn off ads because the formula that we were shipping out was completely different to the formula we were advertising. So the UGC creators that we'd kind of sent a few of our products to, they were experiencing bad reactions. We also got the independent testing results back for this product from China, and it was not good. There were a lot of harsh chemicals in there. But this is when stuff starts to get insane. Like I was saying before, if Dreams and Nightmares was represented in an image sequence, I used to pray for times like this would be it. This was fucking nuts. So you can see here, we relaunched 10 days later, and BFCM was in 6 days. Through this time period, I worked my ass off. Like it was ridiculous the amount of effort that I put into making, like improving the funnels, improving product pages. I just dialed everything in, and you'll see the results that come from this. So one thing important to realize as well is I made video ads. I didn't make video ads initially because at this time I was editing everything myself, and they took a lot of time. But now that I had proven like messaging angles, I should say, I then implemented that into video ads. And bro, oh my god, just look at day one. We launched at $500 spend. It didn't spend the full budget, but 3.55 ROAS. You can see the triple whale here. Another thing we also did was launched a promo campaign with like bottom of funnel statics. 4.33 ROAS. Day 2, fucking hell, man. Surf scaled up to 2K. 3.5 ROAS again. First 10K day. And then day 3, 7.2K spend. Surfed up pretty hard. And then, yeah, you can see 22K. All right, just quickly coming on here, giving you guys proof as well that we actually did scale from 0, and I wasn't just like being weird, inspecting element or switching out accounts or something like that. But 22nd, you guys can see here, if I was to go back to the 21st, or, go like all of November for this relaunch campaign, 0, 23rd or 22nd now, first day of, like day before launch, 23rd of November, first day of launch, $340 spent, 3.5 ROAS. Second day, 2K spent, 3.5 ROAS, and then the 25th of November, 7.2K spent. Hopefully that shows you guys, I'm not bullshitting about anything here. I've got receipts for everything. I've never done heroin, but I feel like this is what it would feel like. This was quite possibly one of the best moments in my life, and this is a clear showcase of how fast ecom can take off if you just know what you're doing and you just persist. Like 4 days before this, I was in a rough state. Like Black Friday was quickly approaching. I was going on Twitter seeing everyone doing crazy days, and we were sitting at like not even $1,000 a day. So it just goes to show, you can see how fast you can scale up. We did have a couple of issues. You can see this was a screenshot from the 26th. So because we scaled up so fast, this was kind of a note from the factory. They're so overwhelmed. So we didn't have an absolutely insane Black Friday, but we still scaled up to about 10K a day in spend, 2.63 ROAS and 40K spend. And then fast forward it to now, 17th to the 24th. You guys can see we're still ripping off this product really hard. Last 7 days, 40K spent, 2.67 ROAS. And another important thing to realize is we run the Davey Fogarty ad account structure. So we do 1 ad account per country. This here was more like, this is more of, I think this was the European. Yeah, it was the European ad account. Big blunder we made. Do not do this. We had our time in Brisbane time, which made surf scaling an absolute pain in the ass. But I mean, I hope you guys can see just through that example there, how just ruthless execution. And even we did face that setback with the product, but you know, you've got 2 options from there. You can either just fucking put your head in your hands, start crying, or you can double down and go harder than ever. So much work has went into this, but I hope this was kind of more of like a motivational video for you boys to stick it out, not be a Caladata YN, and yeah, that's this new video will be on the way soon. Hope you boys found this useful. Okay, phase 4, scale or die. Now I'm filming this video the next day because I took a bit of time yesterday to go through the video that I was like, you know, all the stuff that I'd said and make sure I'm not missing anything here. Because like I said, I mean, I hope you guys see now what I was talking about. This is the most valuable video I've ever put on my channel. And if I did get my memory wiped, my bank accounts went to 0, this is exactly what I would send, you know, that version of myself. So he has an exact A to Z guideline of what to do. So the last phase, it's going to include some information that's relevant to the previous stages as well. But I essentially just really dug deep into my brain on 2 sections and then created 2 sections here. The first section is mindset, all of the biggest, like, you know, traps, like tripwires, pitfalls, everything we fell for that cost us, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then moving on to scaling tips and protocols, like setting KPIs, when to scale, managing cash flow, when to implement specific things like emails, post-purchase upsells, whatever, to give you guys as clear of a roadmap through in scaling and the next steps to take based on your current situation. So the first stage, section 1. Now, this is possibly the most common like stage that everyone goes through in ecom. And when I start to explain it, you're going to probably say, oh shit, that's me. Because again, this is what I fell for initially. And it's why I was held back for so long, is because I heard everyone saying, you know, make more ads, make better ads. I heard Mark Bill's brand saying it. You know, I heard Spencer saying it. Shit, I was even hearing this like clerk at 7-Eleven saying to make better ads. Like everyone was saying that. So I did, you know, I went out, I was, you know, grinding for months, learning every single day. I was doing everything right, but I was rewarded by Zuckerberg with high CPMs, low conversion rate, no results, and just ad account bans. So this is when it's so important to be able to recognize this exact process here that most of you guys are going to go through. Because when you do all this and you get no results and you keep doing it and you continuously get no results, you start to doubt the entire process. Because think about it, like this is the reason why I like the term retard maxing and like becoming a caveman. Because any logical person here, if you explained it to them, like, yeah, I was making ads for 2 months straight and I lost 3,000 USD. If you were to explain that to a logical person, they are going to call you a fucking idiot. So it's important that you are able to recognize this is completely normal. And it's just, again, it's just the skill gap between you and 10K a day. It's just a massive skill gap between you and scaling. So you need to be able to bridge that skill gap by putting in the reps. And, you know, these are some common traits that I see and also that I was doing a lot is that, so when you get no results or whatever, you begin doom scrolling YouTube and consuming different content. Now, this is a big problem I see because different shit works for different people. And what worked for person A might not be that relevant for you. And what I mean by that is if person A built a $10 million a month ecom brand by going into product development and putting, you know, all this money up front, and then you think that's the best approach to do, it doesn't necessarily mean it is. So you need to be able to identify the stage that you're currently at in ecom and then choose someone that you know is like printing, they're actually doing what like they're preaching, because like practicing and preaching or doing the thing and saying, like talking about the thing are 2 completely different things. It's like, if I've never driven a car before and I've read 100 books on cars, I'd be pretty good at explaining on how to drive a car. But as soon as it comes down to actually doing it, I would crumble. So if you constantly switch like information sources, it's kind of the equivalent to constantly switching products, because you're going to be like, okay, this person here says focus on media buying, I'm going to do that. This person here says, oh, I need to put all of my focus on statics because they're the best, or, native statics because they're the best approach in 2026. You're constantly doing that, and you're not like just focusing on one point and one strategy. You just get reset over and over, and it's just an emotional roller coaster. So like I was saying before, pick a strategy from someone you know is actually printing. Pay them for information, like buy their mentorship, as long as you know they're legit. Genuinely, we were in ecom for 6 months, and we bought a mentor who we knew was legit, and then we scaled to 10K days in under 2 months. Because again, reiterating on the point that the only thing that's holding you back from 10K days is just an information gap. So copy what they do until it works. It's so simple, but like so many people, including myself, fell for this trap. And just a quick note as well, avoid these like I tried dropshipping in 7 days guys, or you know who I'm talking about. The guys who are saying a lot without actually saying anything, like oh, if you're not doing these 3 things in ecom in 2026, you're missing out. And they've got all the fucking like editing, like retention bank, like those guys, most of the time they're just making all their money off info. And these tried 7-day like dropshipping for 7 days challenges, 99% of the times they're fucking faked. So again, be careful who you get information from, but just seeing, that's the thing is, like I said, I put this note here. I don't want to be an info guy, but seeing the amount of bullshit that's pushed out to, beginners and even people at higher levels, it makes me want to launch a mentorship, because I actually want to help people scale. Hopefully you can see from the amount of effort that I've put into this video, and literally showed you guys everything that's went into me scaling, that I want to like actually see you guys succeed. And if you get anything from my videos, if you're able to scale, if you're able to make money, send me a message. That shit genuinely makes my day. It hits way harder than finding, a new winning ad or anything. It is what I live for. This is why I make, such comprehensive videos, or I think they're comprehensive. Now, just a quick point I put here is the good news. It gets easier. What I mean by this is that if you've ever heard of the term like falling in love with the process, like if you're able to just do these things here, learning every single day, executing, and when they are genuinely interested in like improving themselves and just becoming a better marketer, and the money just follows directly after that. Okay, so section 2, understanding why this skill is like so hard, and understanding why all of this, what I've been preaching previously about the stuff that you're going to go through is normal. And what this comes down to is actually understanding what Facebook ads is at at its core. You're essentially taking someone out of their day, if they're eating lunch, eating dinner, at the gym, whatever. You're taking them out of their day, like when they're just mindlessly scrolling on their phone. You're convincing them to watch your video, click through to your site, and buy from a brand that they've never seen before. And that's why like ecom is so hard, is because you're doing all of these 3 things in a matter of, minutes or seconds sometimes, depending on the type of ad that you're running. And like, in order to build trust that fast, it's extremely difficult, because initially they don't trust you, and why should they? You haven't given them any reason to trust your brand. And that's why a lot of people are just entitled in ecom. They think they deserve, 10K days, 100K days or whatever, but they like don't understand what ads actually hits. So cold traffic to paid customers is literally the hardest skill you can learn pretty much. But once you're good at it, this is the good news. You will never be broke again. You will never need to work a job in your life, because it is one of the most sought after skills in the entire world. If you're an extremely good, creative strategist, or making ads, or, you're just able to convert people at scale, brands will pay you hundreds of thousands of dollars a year if you're not, already hitting millions of dollars a year by yourself with your own brands. So take that into mind when you're launching ads, is understanding what the process actually is and why it's so difficult. All right, moving on now to section 3. Like I said, this is more of just a brain dump from what I see, like the biggest bottlenecks from my career and also other people's is shiny object syndrome. And this is probably should be in the section before, but anyways, it doesn't really matter. So during this, process of just getting punched in the face every single day, you're going to want to switch business models, and you're probably going to want to quit entirely. And this is like completely normal. And it's why the 99% quit statistics exist, is because you in your exact position right now, feeling all of these feelings that you're going after, and just fucking wanting to just neck yourself when you do all of this work, you publish ads and they're instantly banned by Facebook. That is normal. And it's why when you're, deep in the trenches, you're spending hundreds of dollars every single day, and you see some guy on your Instagram who's standing in front of a Lambo, or, in an Airbnb in fucking Dubai, who's trying to sell a trading or an AI agency course, it seems like so much more aesthetic to you. And just take this from someone who's been like, I had the biggest case of shiny object syndrome known to man. If I had locked in on ecom, because I started my first ecom store when I was like 14, I poured all my money into it. If I had just stuck with ecom, I'd probably be doing like, 9 figures by now, because I would have 7 years in this industry. Because I tried crypto, trading, eBay dropshipping, SMMA. Like I spent 2.5K on Iman's agency incubator or agency accelerator, whatever it's called, back in 2022. And still, like, the truth I had to come across myself, because no one was really preaching it to me at the time, is that no business model is better than another. Like, they all have their benefits, they all have their downsides, so you have to refuse the urge to switch. Now, I will say, the reason why ecom is so good is because I don't see this in rarely any other business models, but your life just changes overnight. With SMMA or whatever, it's pretty linear. You get your first client, you become better at sales, whatever. Crypto, you hit a lucky pump, bang, you're rich. But with ecom, like, it's genuinely nothing like what happened to us. Broke, and then within a week, 2 weeks, like, you're just fucking printing. And the amount of guys that I've talked to in ecom who have been like, I'm in the trenches, I want to quit. And I'm like, bro, just keep going. And then the next week they send me a screenshot of a 10K day, and it just blows my mind. So that is why ecom is really, really good. And that is why it is my favorite business model, because also, like, you're not directly tied. Your time is not directly tied to your money. Once you're able to get really good at making ads, you can start to outsource, and then you're able to just pretty much do whatever the fuck you want. So moving on to the last section of this video. Scaling tips, protocols, let's just jump straight into it. So when to do what? Now, these are the most appropriate steps that I see, because again, I just want to put you guys' attention to the highest leverage tasks at the point that you're currently at. So if you're under 1K a day, just put all of your focus into ads and feedback loops. Yes, you can go out and, improve your website, improve your funnels, whatever. But this is where most, like 90% of your attention should be. The reason why I narrowed it down to 2 specific examples here, because I could give a lot of examples, but just this is as clear as I can possibly make it on what you guys should be focusing on. And if you have these in mind on where, like, the areas of focus and where you should be applying, like, most of your time, you're going to print way faster than everyone else, because people, again, like I was saying, just focus on the wrong shit. Oh, if I had checkout badges, will it increase? No. Focus on ads, feedback loops, bang. So 1 to 2K a day. Now, this is a bit of an interesting level, and it's why, again, like I was saying before, why I love ecom, because sometimes you can just skip from 0 to 10K days. But like, if you're plateaued at 1 to 2K a day, you can start implementing emails. This is when I start to implement post-purchase upsells, because it actually starts to have a point. I mean, even like, we were doing 10K a day, we had no email set up, so it probably wasn't the smartest thing, but we were just putting all of our focus into ads and feedback loops. And again, that's where your focus wants to be here. Like 90% of your focus is because, like, just think about it from a perspective. Okay, if I add post-purchase upsells in, I get 10% on each customer, 20%, whatever. If I add emails in, okay, sweet, I get 30% more revenue, best case scenario, a day from emails. And it's like, oh shit, okay, if I'm doing 1K a day or 2K a day, that's $300 or $600. That's not a lot. If you crack a new winning ad, you can be at 10K a days, 20K a day, overnight. So that's why, again, put all of your focus to ads and feedback loops at this stage. And then when it comes to 2 to 10K a day, this is when you can start being a little bit more experimental when it comes to your testing side of things, and start hiring people. I'd recommend. You can definitely hire a VA to respond to emails at 1 to 2K a day, but I just put it here because, you're not going to be getting that many emails at 1 to 2K a day. So you can kind of just do them yourself. And this is a good stage where you would have done all the repetitive tasks yourself enough to the point that you're able to hire someone. Because I see so many people that are like, oh yeah, get into ecom and hire someone straight away. In my opinion, that is the dumbest thing you can possibly do, because in order to train someone effectively, you need to have an understanding of that yourself, like when it comes to the core, like, fundamentals, like editing and stuff like that. So this is just my opinion, because I've talked to people who have hired shit editors. If you are hiring and you're not getting good employees, you need to just increase your sample size of hiring. So, like, we go through 200 applicants and then put them through extensive testing. But I'll make another, like, full video on hiring, because it's a very complicated subject. But the point here is I've taken an editor who's pretty good to now being better than me, and, like, posting ads at an insanely high hit rate just through the correct training. Now, again, a really good training course you can go through here is Carlo Creates' Ecom Talent. I mentioned it previously, but yeah, it made my editor a killer, so I'm going to go ahead and recommend it here. Next thing is, like, CRO. What I mean by this is just optimizing the customer journey. So you're able to go through, potentially even make avatar specific, product pages if you haven't already. Really dial in your pre-landers if that's the system you're running, and just utilizing research to make your targeting on your website as personalized as you possibly can to try and increase conversion rate. And then still, we're going to be putting majority of our focus towards ads and feedback loops, because this is just the most important thing at like any stage. And that's why 10K a day, I boiled it down to, ads plus feedback loops, is because this is all we did to scale from 10K a day to 50K a day. I mean, we kind of jumped from 1K a day to 50K a day, but it was just through making like crazy good ads. So that is where I'd be putting most of your focus here. Obviously, these previous steps come into play, and depending on the scale you're at and the business model you're in, you might want to look at, shifting your focus elsewhere. Like if you're running heavy MRR and you're starting to push 20K days, it might be smart to look at an external payment processor so you don't get like shut off overnight and your entire business goes into the ground. And then also just obviously extensive website like testing, but the main focus here is still just ads and feedback loops. So moving on now to the scaling protocol, setting KPIs, what do I look for, how do I actually scale, and just everything like that. The only real metric I'm looking at here, like I was saying before, is amount spent and ROAS. And what I mean by ROAS is our target ROAS. And in order to find our target ROAS, we need to determine our break-even ROAS first. Now, there's a few very easy ways you can do this. You can just go to this website here. It's a free, break-even ROAS calculator. You just put in your product selling price. You take the average of your product cost, because I know a lot of you guys would be selling to top 4, and the prices might be skewed a little bit. So just take the average out of that. And then once you have your break-even ROAS here, you can set your target ROAS, and very, very simple for target ROAS. I just add 1 to my break-even ROAS. So if your break-even ROAS is 1.5, your target ROAS for scaling is going to be 2.5. Now, my scaling protocol, obviously, like I said to you guys, one CBO campaign, we're testing and we're scaling in the same campaign, not running, a testing or scaling campaign or anything like that. We're keeping it as simple as we possibly can, because then, if an ad takes spend in the campaign over a previous winner, we know it's a pretty fucking good ad. So the whole objective then becomes very clear of just overtaking the top spending ad and beating its performance. So there's 2 types of scaling. There's this scaling method here, which I highly recommend you guys do, which is daily scaling. So essentially, every single time we hit our target ROAS, so if I publish ads into the ad account, bang, we hit a 2.5 ROAS, I will leave it for about 48 to 72 hours, unless there are external circumstances around it. And what I mean by that is if I'm confident it's not just a random fluctuation, if the metrics have increased significantly, I'll scale after the first day. But most times I suggest people in the earlier stages to allow 48 to 72 hours before scaling, so you avoid this ROAS roller coaster that so many of you guys go through. So once we have hit our target ROAS, depending on how far above it will dictate how much we scale. So if we're hitting our target ROAS of just 2.5 flat, we're going to increase our budgets by 20% each day. And then, for an example, if you hit a 3 ROAS, you might want to increase by 50% each day, because it is significantly beyond 2.5. Or if you hit a 4.0 ROAS, consistently for 3 days, like I was saying, consistently for 48 to 72 hours, you can hit, you can double your budgets. So that's why I recommend, because, some days you'll post an ad and it'll get like 4 ROAS first day, so then you double budgets, but it was just a lucky day. And then you will have to just upscale, downscale, upscale, downscale. So that's a problem, especially at lower spend. You want to, less is more. I preach this a lot with Facebook ads. You want to fuck with the ad account as least as you possibly can and just allow Facebook to cook. So now when it comes to downscaling, so just say, we published our ads, we're doing really well, we're scaling up, and then our performance starts to drop. So, day 1 is at 2.36 ROAS. Ignore, whoa, that is bad handwriting. Apologies for that. There we go. 2.36. Next day, maybe we're hitting a 2.2. Obviously, I'm not going to scale on this day because I haven't hit my target KPI, but I'm still going to allow 48 to 72 hours before I begin downscaling. Because again, we don't want to just be emotionally charged throughout this whole process and, oh shit, 2.36 ROAS, let's half the budgets and all that stuff. If you need to understand the fluctuations in your ad account, especially below 1K a day, and then take it into account. So That's why, if we go 2.36, 2.2, and then just say on day, 3, we hit a 2.1, I then begin downscaling by 20% each day. So that is my exact scaling process. And then if we find a new winning ad in the account, pretty much just repeating this exact process here. So that's my exact scaling protocol. And then once you are hitting your 2.5 plus ROAS, you can scale daily based on the performance. You don't have to wait 48 to 72 hours. I just like to do that initially to take into account for lucky days and stuff like that. So that's my exact scaling protocol. And then the next section is going to be like cash flow reality. And what I mean by this is so many of you guys want to hit 100K a day in ecom. You just make that straight out. So many of you guys want to hit 100K a day. But in order to hit 100K a day, you have to spend $30,000 to $40,000 a day on ads. And not many of you guys have that scaling potential or have the back end that can handle that. So an important thing, like looking at our previous product test, is like we didn't have an Amex card. So we literally had to pull out like every single bit of capital we had, max out credit cards, everything to be able to hold this scale. And it comes down to a few reasons. The main one being Shopify doesn't pay out on weekends. So you're good through the week. You'll be having, the cash flow coming in, spending it on ads. It's like a, machine essentially. But then on weekends, it kind of comes to a pause. So if you're spending like 5, 10K a day on ads and you don't have much capital, you might be struggling essentially. So another big thing is Shopify will hold 20% of your money, 10, 15, 20%. I don't know why it says, I don't think I've seen 20% before. That was my bad. Usually around 10% of your cash. It just makes shit a lot more difficult, especially when scaling at, significant volume. And then, payment processors put you on hold on new accounts, like Shopify, good example there. They're just going to put a random fucking hold on you or just pause all of your money because they just feel like it. So just take those accounts into mind when you're scaling. And, we had to, like I was saying before, we had to pull capital from everywhere, pull loans out in order to hold that amount of scale. This stage is unavoidable for your first product launch. I'm just telling you guys this so you're aware of it and it doesn't catch you, blindsided, because people are so attracted to 10K days, but they fail to realize in order to hit that, they need to spend 3 to 4K a day on ads. Oh shit, just quickly as well, I completely forgot to talk about this, is surf scaling. I know a lot of you guys are attracted to surf scaling. If you don't know what it is, it's essentially increasing your budget several times through the day based on performance. Now, I have mixed feelings on this. Like, if you're doing it consistently, just randomly throughout the year, I don't think it's a good strategy. And I know this because I was just randomly surf scaling through January. It wasn't the best idea. So now, like after having a call with Spencer, he kind of showed me, surf scaling every single day isn't ideal, especially at lower spend. You might as well just go with this method here because it's more consistent. Like save surf scaling for public events, like, public holidays. I mean, Black Friday, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, whatever. But the surf scaling protocol is very, very similar to this one here. So we have our set ROAS in place. And then instead of doing it daily, we're going to be doing it every 2, 4, or 6 hours, depending on your spend. Because if you're spending 10K a day and you're surfing up, you could afford to surf in shorter intervals. Like maybe you want to increase the budget every 2 hours. And the reason for this is because we need Facebook to be getting adequate purchases every, 2 hours in order for our account not to get put into like the learning phase. So if we're at a $100 daily budget and we're trying to surf scale up, we're going to be getting no purchases, so Facebook isn't going to be able to optimize that fast throughout the day. As if you are spending, a significantly higher budget, you're able to scale in shorter intervals, like I said there. So obviously I just covered this cash flow section, and now we have finally made it to the end. It's going to be my final thoughts and just giving this video a wrap up because this was a insane one. If you've watched this to this far, you now have every single step that I would take if I had to scale a brand from zero and my mind was wiped. Like this would be the video, and hopefully you can see why I was saying this is the most valuable video on my channel that I would send to my previous self. It's going to be tough, but honestly, if you've watched this far, I have no doubt every single person can make it. And it's funny because people are like, Raya, why do you always give away this so much sauce, whatever? People just watch it and just get bored and click off. Like 99% of people just can't be fucking bothered with it. So that's why I'm able to give away so much free sauce, is because even, the 1% of you watching this right now, 99% of you aren't going to take action on it. So it's going to be like a few people, and the few people that do will get results. So obviously a summary now, just kind of TLDRing this 20-hour long video. Learn every single day, complete feedback loops, execute fast, reflect slow, become a caveman emotionally, like I was saying, retard max, do stuff without seeing results. and copy people that you know are printing at the moment, because if you just do that for a long enough time period, you're going to see results. Like, there's no secret sauce. Everyone hits me up like, oh, what's the fucking 10K a day, 100K a day, 50K a day sauce? The secret sauce is me sitting in my bedroom for 12 hours a day, not talking to any women and just trying to make better ads. Like, genuinely, that's what it comes down to. So, you know, like I was saying, you guys have gonna make an attention span. If you guys want to hit me up, follow me on IG, ask me any questions over there. You can, maybe I might open some one-to-one slots next month. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to see. So if you guys are curious about that, hit me up on IG. But yeah, thanks for watching this, boys. And all of the resources are in the Discord, like I said. But fucking hell, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this mini movie, I guess it was.